Yo. What's up? What's up?
Good evening. How are you?
Good, man. I'm streaming. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Whoa, Carrie, after dark, what's up? How's it going? Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you. What's up? Ni hao ma. What's up? Practice my Chinese. Dude, it is crazy. Like the internet really does connect the world, man. It still blows my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is really so cool. There's times where like the internet, it really, dude, it really is. What's up, Prime? Yeah, dude, there really is times where like the internet comes together and it's like a really wholesome thing, and you're like, dang, that is cool. Like getting to know someone in like China, and then next thing you hop in another TikTok thing, and it's like someone that's in Nepal, and then someone that's in South Africa, and you're like, whoa, dude, this is wild.
And it's also, at least in my experience, so obviously I made online connections, but it's also like the rare occurrence that, actually meet in person, like a person that I met online. And like that's like a new thing for me, or at least up until recently.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I never met like someone that like I met online and then actually met them in person.
Dude, I've had some really good experiences meeting people from that were friends online and then meeting them in person, and it
Oh yeah,
was
it's only
yeah,
happened twice, as in, I've only, of the connection that I have online, I've only met 2 people, but yeah, they were both
nice.
very positive interactions.
I had in high school we were like heavy into this EverQuest guild, and there was like an enemy guild that was people hated him, and we met with them and went to pick up sticks. He was like
Pick Oh, wait, like the actual game pick, or am I missing some reference?
no, we
Oh,
hung out like in real life, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, like, it was so funny. People were so mad. We're like, "No, dude, he's just chilling, dude." We're a bunch of high schoolers, and he went to the local like university, and so we just like, yeah, it was funny. And then I met another guy that was really cool. I had known him for like 5 years, and then we hung out. And then I also um my old guild mates in Wrath, when another World of Warcraft thing, and like hanging out with them. Like we went to this holiday party for like someone's birthday, and like 10 of us all went, and it was it was cool, man. It was
oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah.
Way more experiences than I, even though, like, I've spent a lot of my time online, both in gaming, and it
Hmm.
actually is kinda strange, like, thinking back of, like, I I I I made a lot of connections online through Battle.net, StarCraft,
Hmm.
all those games, but then as soon as I stop playing, it's like those connections are gone, and that is a weird phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, man. It's tough. I think yeah, they can be very ephemeral and kind of fleeting too. Prime, have you had any good experiences in meeting anyone in person?
The only one I've met from Twitch happens to be one of my regulars, one of the Reverie, Admiral Gibbs. But like I've been doing this for quite a number of years, yeah, and that was just unique circumstances. But other than that, no, I haven't meant anyone.
And I'm
But
sure
animal
that
gifts actually
meeting went of like just commiserating on all your aligned political values and views.
yeah, exactly. No, but actually it was good because he was like he's a fun time.
Mhm.
So
I have no doubt
yeah,
about that.
we hung out. We went to a casino.
Okay.
We bet on horse racing. It was actually it's actually really nice. My first time I was ever watched a horse race. So yeah, I actually quite enjoyed it. But like I haven't been with anyone really. Though I would like to, when I get some cash, I'd like to, visit a few people,
Mhm.
and get to know them. Even some people, some of my international friends. But being broke, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife is a little weirded out with all the haters and stuff right now. And I'm like,
The
stay
haters.
away,
What
stay
haters?
away. Yeah, don't want to meet those people and stuff. I just get a lot of hate comments now, but it is what it is. It's okay. Um, well, anyway, guys, we have a lot to go over this week. We had some spillover from last week, but also there's just a lot of like environmental news, right? Oh, Sheepadoodle, what's up, man? Thank you. So we can kind of just get them all work all on all of them at the same time. So the first one. So we got the first one up as the Trump administration taps climate science skeptic to oversee flagship report. Wilicki was criticized, has criticized the scientific consensus. Excuse me. Has criticized the scientific consensus on global warming as alarmist. Now he'll oversee a major federal report on the topic. The Trump administration has appointed a critical mainstream climate science oh my gosh, one more time. The Trump administration has appointed a critic of mainstream climate science to oversee the federal government's flagship report on how climate change affects the United States. Wilicki is a former geochemist at the University of Alabama with no formal training in climate science. Okay, true. On social media and podcasts, he frequently argues that the mainstream scientific view on climate change is too dire and overlooks the positive effects of a warming planet. Now, Wilicki is leading the U.S. Global Change Research Program, which compiles the National Climate Assessment, a sweeping report required by Congress that details the effects of rising temperatures in every region of the country. Policymakers, communities, and industries use it to plan for the future. So it's these guys are always so funny to me. It's like, like technically that you're basically like, hey, if lose a limb, you're technically lighter. So imagine like running might be or doing I don't know, just thinking about something that's very weird. Like, oh, you lose a leg, you're like, oh, your pull-up game is going to be a lot easier because you're
No, now you get access to those great parking spots,
yeah,
the best
it's
parking spots.
it's such a weird thing. Like the idea of a warming planet could increase metabolism and really allow things. Or my favorite is my favorite would be the CO2 is plant food, guys. So increased CO2, that's actually going to be better for the plants. It's like, what? How's that possible?
Yeah, it's well, not surprising, but just I guess maybe another example of whatever, the erosion of science in the United States. And that like pretty much so far all of the figureheads or key
Mhm.
figureheads are just wacky people. But like this is, at least in by my estimation, going to do long term damage
Mhm.
overall. And like I don't know, would they put the same spin on like, because I mean, okay, even though maybe my logic is flawed, but like I view just overall when it comes to like the biosphere, there's usually
Mhm.
like a balance, an ecosystem, the body. Okay, there is some sort of balanced equilibrium that use homeostasis, as they say.
Mhm.
And usually deviating outside of that, there's like, is there going to be some positives? Maybe at some point, but like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Would they frame it as like at an individual level, like, all the benefits of like, a rogue cancer cell? Okay.
Mhm.
Like, when that balances off or like, high blood pressure, hypertension. Well, okay. There's some sort of positive spin there.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if you zoom in or like, take a very narrow view of things. You could always find a positive to something,
Yeah.
but like that's not good analysis.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a question. Why is that wrong? So CO2 parts per million is what ppm stands for. So CO2 basically in the atmosphere, the plants have evolved already to adapt to the current CO2 ppm in the atmosphere. So um, they're already kind of like good. And in order to oversaturate that, basically the mechanism
But
is
you need to be hydrated. You can't breathe underwater though.
yeah,
There's a
exactly.
saturation point.
Exactly. Yeah, there exactly. You're basically the Rubisco is kind of like the hand that brings out the CO2 from the atmosphere, and it grabs O2 sometimes. So bringing down O2 actually costs the plant energy. So every time that it grabs O2 instead of CO2 is a bad thing. So the idea is that as you increase the ability for it to grab CO2s, it's going to be better. And we do this. Like we do CO2 percolations and stuff in algae fermenters and stuff like that. But we're talking about way higher than what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's not it's not a level that you would actually see any like gains or efficiency there's. And on top of that, everything's evolved for it to happen as it is right now. So like for example, there's the pyrenoids in chloroplast. There is which is basically has a carbon concentrating mechanism for a lot of different plants. So basically, what that does is it actually concentrates the CO2 around Rubisco so that it can more easily, grab that CO2 molecule. So the basically evolution is why it doesn't matter. Go ahead, Prime.
I wasn't in a hurry,
Oh,
but
okay.
I was listening, enjoying what you were saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't claim to be an expert here, but in terms of CO2, um, we like I think at least the three of us have seen the charts, right? Where it shows like how much CO2 has been in the atmosphere for like over the course of millennia, right? And then all of a sudden it just like spikes during like the Industrial Revolution, and like it just like and then like it keeps going up right at an alarming rate. Yeah, we're entering a period of time where we've had more CO2 in the atmosphere than like more than either ever before or like since like several million years ago or something like that, right? Like this particular period that we're entering is absolutely unique, at least for the life forms that are currently here, that are currently evolved for a different atmosphere. And so that's going to have massive consequences. Now, some of them will be minor, others severe. I don't know what exactly that'll have, the effect that'll have on life. I don't know what effect it will have on our humans' lungs in the long term, right? Like we can understand pollution where like you are like next to a plant, right? Like can wrap our minds around that. But in terms of just like slowly raising it for the rest of the planet, I mean, I don't know what that does long term. But I think what's more interesting, like the thing that we can grab onto are like the effects in terms of a warming planet. And to say that, like by that I mean like weather effects, and to say that, oh, there's so many benefits to that warming planet. I mean, I mean, I'm not a big fan of winter, so there's that.
Yeah.
We're moving away from it, right? The thing I'm also not a fan of are massive heat bulbs, right?
Hmm.
Like what our friends in Europe experienced. You that was extremely dangerous. They have not acclimated to that type of weather. Like I mean, and by that I mean like their infrastructure. Their infrastructure isn't there.
I
Their
mean, same thing
infrastructure.
here in Quebec, actually. Yeah,
Oh,
some
really? I didn't know that about.
well, some of our hospitals like 100 years old or whatever, like 80 years old.
Hmm.
And like the buildings just like never adapted. And even like actually uh the elementary school that my niece and nephew go to, okay, it's an old building, has no air conditioning, and like they can't really, or let's say it's a huge task to install air conditioning because there's also like asbestos in the building as well, and so it's like they can't just like go in and start like creating a bunch of dust and like disrupting things. So like they have to like put everything on pause and more or less like more or less like rebuild the building, like totally gut it, which would take forever.
It feels like you're dealing with multiple things there,
Yeah, there is
friend.
yes.
Yeah.
but yeah, but we yeah, so we're going into a point in time where like this is all unique, and then like not all infrastructure is caught up. Like in America, where air conditioning is like very much standard, not universal, certainly not universal, but standardized in a lot of places. Um, and our power system is better equipped to handle it, but for lots of places in Europe, this is not the case. So yeah, I mean, and that's just one example, right? And heat bulbs
Yeah.
are freaking dangerous. Like you've heard of like the wet bulb, right? Like I believe that's what it's called. Um, but like there's a I think it's called a wet bulb, but like there's a weather effect, right? Where like there is so much moisture in the air, right? Going back to what Corey was saying, there's so much moisture in the air that like you can't like release moisture in the regular way you're sweating, right? Like you can't like get the moisture out of you and like properly like release heat. So like healthy people can just like drop dead from overheating.
Hmm.
It can sneak up on them.
Absolutely.
That like that's extremely dangerous. That's the thing that happened. I remember like going out in one of those, and that was awful. It was awful. And I remember like trying to, because I was trying to like exercise and just like like walk around the neighborhood and stuff.
How
And
dare
I
you
remember like
get
trying to.
exercise?
What do you say?
I said, how dare you get exercise?
Yeah. And so like I was trying to like get back home. Holy crap. Like I honestly thought like I was going to pass out and die. Like I literally had to stop multiple times, like in like the slight shade of a tree. Because I was just like sweating profusely. I couldn't catch I was getting dizzy. And yeah, I remember barely making it back to my house. I was like, okay, never do that again. Um, but yeah, these are the things that happen, and I have a house to come back to. What about those who don't? So yeah. Anyway, so I'm saying a lot of stuff here. I'm all over the map here, but all I'm saying is that this moment in time with like an unprecedented amount. Oh, is that you bring up the CO2 chart? Is that what you brought up there? Yeah. Yeah. This point in time where we're having an unprecedented amount, we don't fully know the consequences of that. And yeah, I guess it'll be a slightly bit more plant food. But like the plants were doing fine previously, right? They were doing fine previously. They had evolved to do fine, to be as plentiful around the world with the previous CO2 levels.
Hmm.
What we're heading into now, I mean, I have no idea what that'll look like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Any type of plant productivity is going to be offset by like increase in pests, which is going to cause, us to have do more pesticides, increase amounts of insects now, going to be chewing on them. There's a huge like whatever benefit of individual rubisco conversion, it's going to be offset by a ton of malady.
There's also the like the I forget what it's called, but like that was that the North Atlantic Current. Do you
Hmm.
remember this? Like people used to talk about this more. They don't talk.
Yeah.
At least I don't hear people
Yeah.
talk about this anymore, right? But you know
Hmm.
what I'm talking about? Like the
Hmm.
current that like
Yeah.
it like moves water around like the Atlantic and like around England, and like if it wasn't for this current, like England would be like a glacier. Like it moves warm water around that area. Um, and that's like slowing down because of our planet, right? So like even though the rest of the planet gets warmer, if I remember correctly, I'm not an expert on this, right? But if I remember correctly, that if that cycle stops, right, it like screws over England and Northern Europe. So like I don't know, man, this seems pretty bad.
No, I agree. And I think, like, at least in my mind, one of the issues is like, I think it's difficult for people to conceptualize like how bad, whatever 1.5 or 2 degrees of warming globally is. Like, I think I think understandably people just think, well, 1 or 2 degrees, like whatever, big deal. Or I think it's easy to like just
Mm.
discard because like it's 1 or 2 degrees. But like to like at least in my mind to put it in context, okay, if your body temperature raises like 2 degrees, you feel that, okay, and like if your body temperature raises like 3 or 4 degrees, that's like a medical emergency, okay, like you should go to the ER. Just like if your blood pH changes by 1 pH, you are effectively dead. Okay. Like that's calibrated to a
Yeah.
very fine degree.
Uh,
And there's a reason why our global temperatures are that the way they are. If you want to even
Thank you, man.
disrupt that equilibrium just by like 1 or 2 degrees, well, or if you think you can without any drastic consequences, well, then I think we're going to find out, unfortunately,
Yeah, this is
or are
actually
finding out.
this is what Emailgate was about. I think it was like 2010. Basically, the IPCC report was coming out, and they were trying to communicate how exactly what you're talking about. How do we communicate what a small change in pH actually is a huge thing? Because if you're not aware, like pH is actually an inverse logarithmic scale at hydrogen
Right.
ion concentration, basically. Um, so yeah, how do you portray that like one difference in pH is actually 10 times the amount? And they were actually scientists were talking to one another like, how do we make this seem like a bigger deal than it is, right? How do we make it seem like this one number change difference is actually giving a tenfold difference? And basically those emails leaked, and
And
that
that's where
was
basic math hopefully comes into play, but
I
that's
know.
another issue in
Well, I
and of itself.
mean,
this
meanwhile, 15 years later, we have a 700% decreased president. Go for it, Brandon.
help
Exactly.
me out. Help me out with this, Greg, because this does sound familiar. I this is a memory you're unlocking here. Who was involved? Was this a Fauci thing, or
No, this
what
is
was this
way
about?
before. This is like 2010. I think it's Obama. Like it was in the French climate science researchers writing the IPCC report, and it was like big on like Sean Hannity and stuff. Were pushing it and saying that this is evidence that these guys are concocting this thing, that they're making it up, and they this is the proof that we need to show that they're actually making this
I
thing up.
do remember this, like again, but I never like looked into this, right? And I didn't realize. I mean, it was a Fox conservative news thing, right? So like, I dismissed it.
That's fair.
But like, I didn't like really understand the details. I remember like there was the implication that there were some climate scientists who were, you know, like escalating these things, like blowing things out of proportion. This is like a smoking gun, right? Like we got this email thing. But yeah, I never knew the details. So you're saying they were talking about pH, literally a logarithmic scale, right? Which I think like the Richter scale is like logarithmic or something too, right?
Yep.
Like there's a difference between like a 6.0 and a 7.0, and it's a huge goddamn difference, right? It's huge, right? And so like if that what they were talking about, yeah, that I mean, like I hadn't thought of that like until Corey like said so, right? Like I believe it or not, I don't think about pH balances my blood. But once he's stated that, yeah, actually that sounds about right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with what Corey's saying here, right? That yeah, 1 pH change in your blood, yeah, that sounds like death. That actually does sound freaking horrible. No, that's what they were talking about. If they were discussing that, holy crap! And then like just because the guy, like, I'm processing this, right? This is what happens here. Yeah, if you're a regular viewer, you see Prime process these things in real time.
I love it.
If that's actually what it was it pH in blood specifically? Is that what they were
No,
talking
it's the
about?
pH of oceans.
Oh, oceans. Oh, never mind. Oh, just
even
oceans.
more water.
Oh, just oceans. Yeah.
Just like the majority of our planet.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm thinking now, like I'm trying to like think back to this, and like I'm trying to imagine being a scientist, like a learned individual, like, you know, our good friend Corey or Dr. Greg, right? And, you know, having an honest conversation between the two of them, and then like their emails or communications leak. And then you have a bunch of like literal morons going over this and saying like these guys are like a part of a cabal to like fool the world to, to cast us all astray, right? And you're like, no, this is just like literally basic math, literally just basic math.
Yes.
That would have like dire consequences, and then have your careers threatened by this, right? I'm curious what the fallout was for these individuals, right? I can see it being not bad. I can see people losing their jobs over something like this, even though obviously they did nothing wrong. But like, just imagine like how that would feel. Literal morons making this, and then their idiot, the Fox News listeners, right? The idiot audience amplifying this, and then I guarantee you, those guys got death threats, right? So like getting death threats from these literal morons who like can't understand like there's a very basic conversation that you're having. Wow.
Yeah, so November 2009. Yeah. I mean, the same thing happened honestly with the Fauci emails and stuff too. You can read them and they're just it's the same thing where they're kind of going back and forth and yeah. Material compromised 1,000 emails, 2,000 documents, but what's crazy is like it spawned a bunch of investigations into it. Like to look at all these different in the UK, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 in the US. You know, taking it way too seriously kind of thing. I mean, this is the Democrats bending over backwards to show that they are like self-critical, you know, as opposed to just being like, this is insane. Why would we waste time doing this? Of course not. But now they have to help be like self, you know, it trying to show no bias, I guess, but very frustrating. I was trying to find some of the actual things, but it was like very innocuous. It wasn't even that bad of a deal. But anyway, I think the bigger point though is that these guys are just getting these sycophants in these positions that have no expertise, no knowledge. I mean, a geologist, a geochemist, usually it is kind of weird. Geologists do get tapped for a lot of oil exploration. So more so than not, you can kind of find geologists that are a little bit more like flirty with the, you know, referral link in my bio for oil companies. So they're kind of like on that grift. So yeah, it's very interesting. I actually had my friend that was a geologist in grad school, and we were talking about it too. It's very, very frustrating. But hey, it seems to be going. Next story. The continuing with the environmental news. So New York sues companies over forever chemicals. The lawsuit claims that the companies, including 3M and DuPont, contaminated the environment, engaged in fraud by withholding information from the public about the harms of chemicals known as PFAS. The New York Attorney General on Thursday sued several chemical and manufacturing giants, including 3M, DuPont, accusing them of continuing to expose consumers to products containing chemicals linked to health problems and environmental damage long after the companies knew of their danger. Quote, big companies like 3M and DuPont knowingly sold toxic products that threatened New Yorkers' health and polluted our environment for decades, Attorney General Letitia James said in a statement on Thursday. It's time for them to pay the damage that they cause. The chemicals called PFAS or per and polyfluoroalkyl substances have been used in items like nonstick cookware, makeup, dental floss, food packaging, and possibly leggings. Though the chemicals were originally hailed as revolutionary for their ability to repel oil and water, they have been associated with increases in cancer, metabolic disorders, decreased fertility in women, and developmental delays in children, according to the EPA. Often called forever chemicals, PFAS do not degrade and instead accumulate in the environment as well as the body. Nearly everyone in the United States has been exposed to PFAS and has them in their blood, according to the CDC. The chemicals have been detected in the wildlife as well. So I guess, I mean, I think these are like important, you know, to have like due diligence and stuff. Right? Absolutely, right? Having them actually having to do um, these studies and then also like suing these companies and holding them accountable, right? I mean, we have to.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even though like there's definitely some. Well, actually, I wonder if we can take like the same mentality for this
Mhm.
topic of like there's some positives to these chemicals, right? All the great products that you listed, right?
That's a good point.
Non-stick pans, leggings. Who cares if they're forever chemicals and they're just like in your body, in
Mhm.
wildlife, in your food? We have all these wonderful products, so it's good all around, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that argument would not fly with the MAHA movement, understandably, and it shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like that climate argument shouldn't hold any
The
water.
CO2 is natural, though. It's not you don't
True,
understand.
true. Yeah, that is. Yeah, they will point that out almost. That's actually a good point. That
Non-GMO.
will probably be the argument
Non
that they use. Yeah.
non-GMO CO2. This
Non-GMO, non-GMO CO2.
the state
um.
lawsuit also comes after a recent decision by the Trump administration to roll back some of the limits on PFAS in drinking water,
Yeah, I was
which were
gonna point that out.
established in
Yeah. Sure.
2024 under Biden, guys, under Biden.
So
And
it looks
last
like
week,
Biden was better on this, or at least
mhm,
I'm curious how the MAHA movement cares. They don't care about forever chemicals.
exactly, because last week the EPA approved several pesticides that could contain forever chemicals. So that's the crazy. Like this is one of the big sticking points for a lot of these MAHA jumpers is exactly this kind of stuff. The PFAS, like the pesticides, them increasing productions of PFAS, the glyphosate production. Um, yeah, it's I, I don't know. I don't know why other than just like completely bought and paid for, you know, for in terms of like big ag. I don't know, it is kind of like a weird direction to go in.
Yeah, I agree. But I do have, let's say, I wouldn't say mixed feelings, but like, obviously, if these companies, and there does seem to be like a strong case to be made that these companies, let's say, were either deceitful or withholding information that, would have been for the public good or benefit or to prevent certain negative consequences. But like these chemicals do have some utility. And I think they're pretty much like still in use today in many products, just like there's some warnings about them, or at least now we know. Um, but yeah, it's tricky.
Ladies, don't let your lipstick get into your body. All right, pretty
But
simple.
but people, even though they may not know it. I'm curious, like how consumer habits would change if all of these are labeled that they contain these things. But like people like their
Like a
non-stick pans.
cigarette, like a on a cigarette packet,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Those graphic warning labels. But
yeah.
people like non-stick pans, and people like. There's a reason why this technology like was invented and like was like
I don't know if they like nonstick pans that much. I think nonstick pans are one of the easier ones. To get,
probably.
I'm just speculating here, right? I'm not
No,
like
no,
making a
it's a fair
big deal of
criticism.
it. Yeah, I feel like that's one of the easier. Well, yeah, I mean, at the very worst, I'll like scrape it, right, or I'll get something cast iron or something, Um, but and also like cooking oil like is good, like cooking spray is pretty good for handling this. This is what I do. I use cooking spray. um but like I imagine, I don't know, like in cosmetics, and that's just the one that stuck in my head. I know there are other examples, but just the one that stuck in my head, right? Like I don't know like how, what the alternatives are and what they look like without the PFAS, right? So that's the one I'm actually interested in, right? Like in terms of would consumers change their habits there? Like if it's like a good product, probably used regularly, um, like would people? I imagine so. I mean, I imagine people like don't want to be poisoned by their fucking makeup, right? Like, but like,
I actually don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, but I would imagine so that
People
people don't want to
do a
be
lot for beauty and aesthetics.
that's true. That's true. But like, but still, like, and it doesn't like cosmetic doesn't have to be the focus of this. Again, it's just the one that stuck in my head. But like, you know, there's like a risk tolerance that we have for all these activities, right? Like, I think that most people realize, and maybe not. Like, maybe I'm extending too far here, but like, I think most people realize that like we are just like swimming in chemicals, right? Like you're just like swimming in a bunch of foreign chemicals that we're not here. Like we didn't evolve to like deal with, right? To process. And so like when in terms of like cosmetics, right? These are I think this is interesting because like it sits on your skin, or you know whatever, right? Like, and like there's just a whole like mess of them that you know women will use, and so like I would imagine, again, I'm not a woman, right? But I would imagine that, uh, like, there's like a general understanding that this is probably not the healthiest thing for me, but like, you know, like, for whatever benefits that you get using those, that like the risk that something awful will happen is, you know, too tiny to like worry about, right? And again, these aren't the only like groups of foreign chemicals that will get into your body, right? If you like think about it
Absolutely.
that way, right? Like you're again, we're swimming in it. Everyone is, right? But like if you know let them know that, oh well, this particular set of chemicals that you use, you know, for your face and whatnot, has these PFAS, right? Which are a different class of chemicals that you know is very likely, you know, let's say not by very likely I mean like I don't know, 10%, likely to cause this list of you know outcomes, then I think people would change their habits. I mean, I believe so, right? Like,
I would like to think so,
because yeah, mm,
but I was gonna say, and like this is not necessarily a one-to-one analogy, but I do think like the little microcosm that occurred with like plastic or rather paper straws, even though like that's like a minimal, even though that has no realistic impact on like the plastic in our lives. That was like a small
mm,
thing, like the easy thing to point to of like, oh, this is even though it's probably gonna have no significant change overall in terms of how we're swimming in plastic, anyways. But like in my mind, there was a clear backlash to paper straws. That is like I don't know, people just like revolted against them. Um, and I
They're
find that
so
interesting.
bad. I mean, I was at Starbucks and they were
Yeah,
like they were
I have a revolter right in front of me.
yeah, like they're like the the heat from the heat wrap that like pressed them together would make like half a dozen
You know
of
what the paper
them.
needs? A layer of PFAS
Yeah,
surrounding it.
exactly. Yeah, because it like melts the paper straw, so then that's like closed. So then you have to throw those away. You have to do that 5 times in order to get one, and then it dissolves. So then you have to get another one. It's just like a lot of times the carbon footprint for a lot of things is actually the transportation of like the
mm,
materials around the
Yeah, no,
globe,
that's
because
fair.
it's like you're mining it in one continent, you're shipping it to another continent to be manufactured, then you're shipping it to another continent to be like warehoused, and then you're shipping it to another country to sell, and it's just like going all around. So it's tough, man. I mean, Prime, I agree. I mean, it especially, you know, we got it a lot whenever we talked about nanotechnology and conferences and stuff. They're like, you want to put more nanotechnology, like nanoparticles in there, or don't we have like so many? But I mean, the other idea, how it was interesting. One of the professors like framed it, and he was like, if it's they're getting everywhere, then isn't that like an indication that we could use them to deliver stuff? I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like
mm.
we could use those, you know, qualities that it has in order to actually be, you know, be a use. So that was like the impetus for a lot of like the work and how easily it gets in. Because, but man, from 1963, they actually knew. They are checking the blood,
Yeah,
which is wild. 3M and DuPont. That's wild. Uh, um,
yeah.
I know the for our
Some
nano.
real evil corporation shit happening there. Like no
Yeah,
joke. It's really
Yeah, from my
bad.
understanding, from what I read as well, like it seems like they did act as bad actors.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
I mean, it's the due diligence. I mean, you're doing our nanotechnology lab got constantly swabbed like once a year to make sure that we didn't have any like contaminating nanoparticles and stuff like that. That would so they I mean, it makes sense that they knew about it, and they were probably doing that stuff yearly too. So wasn't just like a one and done thing. They were probably in their toxicology report. They knew about it. But yeah, man, I think it's one of those things where if you ban the use of it, I don't even know if you could. Like, it's in so much stuff, you know,
yeah, exactly.
microplastics.
That's what I was trying to highlight of like, it's so ubiquitous now that
Yeah.
it's like, just like plastic is ubiquitous. It's like you can
Mhm.
ban plastic, but then like everything, like most of our consumer products are just like gone. We have to like shift to something overnight.
Yeah. I think it's really about like where
Mm.
the plastic comes from. Like, you can make plastics from uh you know, from organic material that's new, not just like fossil fuels. You know, the oil and fossil fuels, you could actually make it from, you know, algae based oils and stuff like that. And then
Is that
also,
actually as efficient? I'm not up to
mhm,
date
yeah,
on.
you can make them microbially, yeah. And then on top
I'm
of
not saying
that,
I'm not saying that you can like to the yield that you can extract from the ground oil.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I don't believe,
Okay.
I don't see why not.
If that's the
Um,
case, then that I'm very curious as to why the market would not have
oh, it's just,
taken that
oh,
up.
because we subsidize oil companies to suck things out of the ground so much. It's like, it's a lot easier. It's a lot cheaper. Um, and then, but the latest, honestly, the, uh, the latest technology that I know of in order to try to solve this type of stuff is actually to use microbes. So use kind of like the nylonase eating bacterias that you know they evolved an enzyme to break down nylon. In the same way, you could have like a PFAS chewing microbe, and then you basically
Well,
put like a little.
I'm obviously not opposed to that, but then do you think if the public hears that you're spraying these bacteria or
Yeah,
these
well,
enzymes?
the idea is that you put the endospores of the bacteria inside the plastic
Oh,
when you're
well, then
casting
the
it.
public will be on board if you just
Yeah,
market it as
yeah,
endospores.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the endospore is kind of like the seed form of a bacterium, where they're incredibly resilient. You know, they are ready to go when they hit a good fertile environment. So the idea is this thing is deteriorating over time, and then now all of a sudden it cracks open this endospore that then, you know, is right where it needs to be in order to feed off the plastic, so that you're kind of creating something that can make it more bioavailable right inside of the actual can, or the plastic bottle.
I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. I'm curious how workable. I'm sure it's workable in some sense, but like, I have to imagine that like you'd have to use so much because, from what I understand, uh, even though these bacteria pretty much, you know, on a long enough timeline, bacteria will eventually evolve to like consume anything. But like, I imagine like the amounts that they are consuming is like so trace amounts that I don't know, take them forever to like go through whatever is like in a can or like in a bottle. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you'd have to take a little bit for sure, and put it in, you know, more than like one endospore. You know what I mean? You'd have to actually like put it in there. So, yeah, I mean, just like ideas. Just, I mean, people don't
No, no,
have any
it's a
idea.
cool idea.
We have no idea how to go forward with this problem. I think you could, you know, theoretically pay companies, you know, to take out the trash basically of these forever chemicals, you know, create a market in order to do it. That would be amazing. Other than that, I don't know what the next step is
Yeah,
for.
but I mean, to your point, like I do know that a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there is some significant research being done in terms of either like how to make the bacteria or the enzymes more efficient in breaking down either
Yeah.
plastics or whatever chemicals that we want to get rid of, because yeah, it's a
Um.
problem.
Yeah. You guys are talking about how ubiquitous these PFAS are, and I imagine I'm not, I mean, I don't know the chemistry, but I imagine yes, there are plenty of places. But like, I feel like the problem, what it sounds like to me, and maybe I'm thinking too small ball here. But like what it sounds like to me is the both the asbestos and lead paint problem, right? Like, at some point you would like, okay,
There's
you're
some
just
similarities.
discovering how bad this is, right? And like you're like, well, what do we do? These things are everywhere, right? Like everyone is using it. Like this is in all our homes. These are in all our buildings, all our constructions. Like, well, this problem is too big. But like we handled it. I mean, we still in the process. I mean, we are look at Corey.
Yeah, exactly.
Look
I was
at
gonna say my niece and nephew
yeah,
are still in an asbestos
yeah,
building.
yeah. Still in the process of doing it. But like it was we have remediation efforts and like we have like different building insulation. These things were possible. Like it feels like, you know, there's got to be an impetus, whether it's like, straight up banning these chemicals. And again, I'm not saying I know the exact feasibility of that, right? um but like if we, made a concerted effort to fight these things, I feel like this we could do this, and we could find some other product, right? Like there'd be plenty of money behind finding alternatives to this. And I imagine there's money into it right now, right? Like because if you could come up with a some sort of solution that didn't have these same issues, right? But that solved even a subset of the solutions, right? If you provide a subset of the solutions that PFAS does, it seems like there's a ton of money to be made, right? If it's commercially viable, there's a ton of money to be made. So like, yeah, I don't I believe you all when you say like the problem is immense, right, in scope, but this seems manageable. Right, getting it out of the environment, I'm not sure about that. Right, like getting it out of all of us, that's everything. But like, the effort to not put any more into the environment, I feel like that's a manageable thing. But
I mean, you probably. I don't disagree with you, and like I agree with you that there are some parallels to be made with, let's say, asbestos or lead. But I do think there's maybe something somewhat unique about PFAS just due to the like. It's really hard to get across of just like how how resistant these chemicals are to degradation.
no,
uh,
that part again, I understand that part. Like it's crazy. Like these things just they just like cycle throughout the environment. Like that part I understand. I'm just saying like not adding more, not producing anymore, not like adding anymore, even like finding alternatives, so we don't like multiply the problem.
well,
Yeah.
that I think that's like uh, I'm I'm sure there probably you know at some point some alternative can be found. But I think there's a like again the chemistry behind them. It's like not that like, you're at the peak of like finding the most resistant chemical of all time, but like let's say to go one step further or like one rung lower, like that I think that's a difficult problem to solve. But like in principle, you're right, it is a solvable problem. Um, but yeah, like the PFAS are like fairly unique.
Yeah. I think
So
it's just the coalition kind of thing. Like at the next IPCC report or something, having spurring governments in order to make legislation about it, or regulation. I think honestly the lead in the atmosphere coming from the leaded gasoline, I mean, there was a reason why lead was in the gas, because it made internal combustion engines a lot more efficient. So it just, and then we had to take that out, and then they had to recalibrate some things, and it wasn't as efficient at first, and now unleaded gasoline is standard, and we would never even think about having lead in the atmosphere, because that would be, why would you choose that? So
yeah,
it's yeah.
and there's the case to be made to Prime's point of like, I'm not saying outright ban, but like if let's say if it's known that a ban is coming or harsh regulation is coming, I mean that does let's say force innovation, as if just like with the lead gasoline, if like if they know it's like "Wait, we can't use this anymore, we have to find then a solution, and a solution
Yeah.
was found.
Yeah.
Even in the case of the I mean, I was listening to you guys, and I haven't actually dealt with this myself yet. But the paper straw situation, right? Like, I saw online. Now I haven't used this product, but I saw online that there was this company that was like solving this issue. You know, like they gave a tour of their manufacturing plant, and they show like this straws that were like resistant, and like had most pretty much all the properties that you needed for them, but they were paper straws, not plastic. And like let's say it is everything it's advertised. Again, I haven't tried it, right? But like that then would be an innovation that only came up because now there was a new market, right? That we
Mhm.
we're like, hey, we don't want to deal with these straws anymore. There was a push, there was a bans in certain areas, right? For like no more plastic straws, and you know, it followed the exact timeline that like our friend Dr. Greg just laid out, where like you know the alternative was pretty crappy. And then a few years later, we got something better again, assuming that it is right. And then now everyone's happy, and we don't have the plastic straws. These straws will degrade as necessary within the environment. That would be great, right? Like if like I think that would be the timeline for these PFAS as well, right? That we can figure this thing out. This isn't the only chemical formula that has these
No, you're right.
advantages, or even if it's like replaced by not just like you know one type of you know compound, right? But like you know a set of compounds that like each tackle different you know aspects that PFAS do, then that's great, right? If they don't have the same deleterious effects, I just believe in us. We can figure this out, you know?
No, that's true. That is a fair criticism.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's no reason to believe that a better PFAS can't be found or discovered
Yeah,
or developed.
And this is, I think this is the cool part. I mean, I'm biased, but this is, in my opinion, the cool part of exploring like the natural diversity of life. You know, there could be some type of biomaterial out there made by from some bacteria
Arguably,
or
nature has the best
yeah,
solutions to most of the
somewhere.
things. Just
It,
as nature has the best, probably maybe the best solution for plastics and PFAS with the bacteria and the enzymes. Okay,
mhm.
nature
Yeah,
is highly
exactly.
efficient at even solving our problems.
Exactly. 99.9% of microbes are unsequenced or uncultured, and we, you know, they basically exist out there, and they're unknown to science as of yet. So it
mm,
really is cool. Like for food, fuel, materials, I feel like that is, I mean, it's the final frontier for biology. I think, you know, we're never gonna explore it all the way, and it's a really cool. So
Well, not with that attitude, but okay.
yeah. That's really interesting, Dr. Greg, that you say
Mhm,
that.
mhm,
I didn't realize. I know there's a lot of different types of bacteria, right? But like,
mhm.
I didn't realize how stark it was, and like, you know, how little our knowledge is of
Yeah, dude.
all of that. And yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, we've seen the story, right? We've seen the story again and again where there is you know, we find this strain, this random strain, you know, somewhere. And you know, science happens. And we discover like, oh, this thing produces some like chemical or whatever, right?
Mhm.
You know, that's you know critical for its biological needs. And this thing, if we just like harvest it, like you know, miracles happen with the thing, right? Like that's, I mean, it happens, right? Like or some like fantastic um, medicine, right? Like
Yeah.
these things that
Mhm.
happen, and to understand like that we have you know cataloged so few of
Mhm.
all of these bacteria, right? Like yeah, there's something to learn there, right?
Yeah.
Um, and something just so you know, I realized just one more thing on those PFAS is that like you know like you want to create market conditions,
Yeah.
right? If the market conditions are like right now, PFAS is just like uh, um, cheap, right? And there's like very little friction cost to using them, and so industry doesn't want to not use it, right? Like if it's cheap,
Exactly.
especially if you're not presenting them an alternative. But if you create it so that you know, while now this is an expense attached to this, okay, well then it makes sense for us to start putting money into R&D to find alternatives, right? And especially with the understanding, if you're a chemical company, right, that like if you find that alternative, then you can benefit from that market.
Mhm.
So like, but you have to create the conditions for that, you know, and the
Yep.
conditions won't change just because people are being poisoned. Clearly not, right? It didn't matter for you know decades that that was the case.
True.
It has to be something else, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
agree.
yeah, like, oh, go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Uh, I think going back to the point of let's say, scratching the surface on what we know about bacteria. I think that is an understandable, let's say, in my experience, an understandable misconception that the general public have. Like, they seem to understandably be under the mentality of like, if we want to study bacteria, well, we just need to like grow it in a plate. But actually, for the vast majority of bacteria, you can't grow them like in a plate. As in, like that's one. At least Greg can probably speak more to this than I can. Of like, pretty much one of the major challenges in studying bacteria is like the overwhelming majority, as Greg said, 99% will just not grow under lab conditions, and we don't know how to grow them, no matter what we do. Like we know that they are there through sequencing, and we can see that there's something there, but we can never grow it, and it just won't grow.
Really?
Yeah, it's because
Yes.
microbes like bacteria, yeast, algae, like they basically grow in communities, and they've evolved intricate like partners where they'll create a metabolite and then create a waste product that then another bacteria can then use that waste product to then maneuver that again and then make another waste product that would normally kill the community, but then another one evolves. This is like a cascading impact, kind of like how they deal with waste and recycling nutrients and all that kind of stuff. And if you remove one, well, it's going to cause an impact of an accumulation of waste or something, and the entire thing is going to collapse. So it's kind of like a house of cards. So just taking a single isolate of a single species of a bacteria is going to be extremely hard in a community. So it's but yeah, there's so many different unique properties out there. I was doing my literature review for my PhD, and I was looking into nanoparticles, and I was like, I wonder if any microbes make nanoparticles, and they do. They make nanoparticles are just anything that's lower and smaller than 100 nanometers. So it's not actually that crazy to think that they would do it. But some of the most interesting ones were bacteria that lived in Antarctica on the ice sheets. So basically, they made their own nanoparticles so that they could have a sunscreen, and it protected their DNA from UV damage with those nanoparticles. So, and they would actually change the size and shape of the nanoparticles too. So, it's really cool. Like the genius evolutionary inventions. It's really cool. Yeah, it is. It is very cool.
I don't know how much you looked into further into that particular nanoparticle for the protection against the sun or UV damage, but I imagine, or I'm just speculating, that was probably like a protein that they produced.
It was just a nanoparticle. It was just like a little piece of a little whatever it is. Yeah, yeah. It was just like a little ball of a carbon or something. I think it was like really simple. I don't think that it was necessarily like a function, like a protein. It was just just kind of like shading itself. So because it was really exposed. I don't know, just like weird things like that. I think that you might be able to see some interesting answers to these type of questions, and through billions of years of evolution, guys. So yeah, it's very cool.
Yes, evolution has solved almost infinite problems over the course of billions of years.
And it's solved more, like 99% of stuff that's ever existed is extinct now. So a lot of the stuff that is extinct, but also that it could have solved problems that we didn't know about. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
Yeah. It just wasn't the right time to solve that problem.
Exactly. So there's even more there's the stuff that we can know now by the stuff that's here, but then there's an even bigger, thing to think about of everything that came before us in terms of all those organisms too. So, yeah, it's
going
just
back
it's just
6,000
so cool.
years.
yeah, exactly. It's fascinating, man. I think biology is so cool. It really is. It really is fascinating.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys. This story is so funny to me. Cyclospora linked to Taylor Farms lettuce sent to Taco Bell. Federal officials worked with Michigan investigators to trace the outbreak to iceberg lettuce, which may have also gone to other vendors. I just can't imagine them going they're like, Frank, people are shitting their brains out after going to Taco Bell. And he's like, yeah, what do you do? Okay. And you're like, no, even more so than normal. Like, oh no, no way.
Well, that's,
How
you know,
would-
that when it's a real emergency, right? If it's worse than the baseline, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, way more. The CDC has linked an outbreak of cyclosporiasis. How do you say it, Corey?
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's psoriasis.
Sporiasis, thank you. To iceberg lettuce that Taylor Farms supplied to Taco Bell, according to 2 federal officials who declined to be named. How do you not have like someone that's out there? This is kind of a failing institution, right? Where they don't even they don't have a PR person to talk about this. They're not like actively involved in this, guys. I mean, this is a huge outbreak. Come on. The CDC said that the shredded lettuce was sent to Taco Bell locations in Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. In a notice posted Thursday night, the agency warned the public not to eat shredded iceberg lettuce served at Taco Bell locations in those states. The one thing that made those things healthy, guys, the one thing, just those little shreds of, were they even doing anything anyway? It remains unclear if Taylor Farm sent the lettuce to other vendors, said of the officials, who was not clear to speak for the administration. Of course, in its statement issued, Taylor Farm said that it is voluntarily removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico, but none of this its branded salad kits are associated with the outbreak. Where's the raw milk people now? What's up with that? What's up with the raw? Where's raw lettuce, dude? Like, what's going on?
You don't need to wash your lettuce. This is natural, right?
Yeah.
Good point. You don't have to wash your lettuce, right?
I
Just like you don't
don't.
need to pasteurize your milk, just lettuce straight from the ground.
It's nature's natural spice. Like, no, you're 100%. You guys, you're. This is perfect. Like, this should not be a problem, right? Like, yes, there's the bacteria everywhere, right? Like, yes, there's bacteria here, but there's bacteria everywhere.
Mhm.
And so, like, what difference does it make if you get a bit of the cyclo? Like,
That sounds cool, actually.
that's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Yeah. What difference would get a little bit of that? Like, if you're a healthy person, you should be able to fight off the infection. In fact, if you do, it'll make you stronger. Um, our friend Gibbs was, you know,
He didn't make
shitting
it
his
on Monday.
pants.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
he was yeah. The
Wow.
guy I was telling you about, he was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
he was, yeah, he was having. I don't know if
He was having fun
specifically
on Monday, I'm
that
sure.
caused it. Oh yeah,
Wow.
but like it was, but like yeah, this idea, like why it just never seems to extend. At least I'm not sure actually. I'm curious of of what MAHA has been saying about this. But like we can't expect consistency from these people. But like I'm wondering if they like are thinking really stupid thoughts about this.
I would imagine so. Well, let's. Yeah, I I would really want to like confront these people of like, you know, is this the natural lettuce that you want?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know that they would never bite that bullet. Like,
Yeah,
I heard that
it's a good point.
Taco Bell was. Oh no, you go ahead.
No, please.
I've heard Taco Bell, and I don't know how good this information is, was that like was more proactive of getting rid of their lettuce. That like they had done so a few weeks prior, and
Hmm.
that like they're getting a lot of hate, but like they had actually been proactive. But like um people are just saying that like, oh, you know, it's from Taco Bell because Taco Bell is a very easy target for the reasons we said it previously. But like if that's the case, again, I don't not 100% sure, but if that's the case, I mean it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, screw a big corporation, but like that uh I mean, you know, we get on these you know, social media campaigns, and you know, we start, you know, casting blame immediately, and like I mean we have no clue. Like these things take time, right, to like properly source and trace
Mm-hmm.
how these things got into our logistical stream. And so like I guess again I guess I don't really care if anyone blames Taco Bell, even if like they're innocent, right? But like I guess we just caution everyone to hold your judgment until we get a proper investigation to see, like, where this came from, who was responsible, who should have known, and when they should have known, because these things aren't easy to figure out. And then social media will just like will give you a packaged answer.
Yeah, but it seems like, at least from what I can tell from what was mentioned in the article, is like it seems like a record year for this type of infection, uh, and like and also from what I remember the article, like any cases that they're reporting is almost certainly as usual for just like any whatever infection. It's probably like a massive underreporting, or at least some sort of underreporting, as in whatever cases they are. There's probably almost certainly more than that. So
Yeah, the
And
FDA.
I'm
people are
glad there's
shitting on
no
the toilets in private. Yeah.
there's no Taco Bell here in Quebec, and I'm glad.
Oh, okay, good to know. The FDA official said that the lettuce was grown by a single supplier in Mexico. That seems hard to believe, but I mean, all right, wow.
I mean, easy, yeah. I mean, those things, yeah, that seems easy to believe, actually. Yeah, like
Okay.
a single supplier. These things, spread across the logistical systems. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't know how, contained or segregated this is, right? Like, if it's a commodity, then like it could easily just like get mixed into the supply stream, right, and like spread even further. But like I imagine they have systems like just for these reasons, right? Systems in place to probably be able to track these batches back to their source.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like it makes perfect sense that you have that some little supplier, as long as they're like otherwise reliable, yeah, they'll be used for a ton of different outlets. Yeah.
It's not in here, but I had heard that RFK did cancel the parasitic like panel, like that was tasked to watch and prevent this stuff from happening. And then it happened again. Like, I mean, the ringworm thing, I mean, the screwworm, and then
Screwworm.
this, like, it's just, this is also climate change, guys. This is like these things, these parasites, they have more like the larger habitable larger zone that they can thrive in. It's just it's yet another way that we're not above nature. You know what I mean? Humans are not capable of living outside of nature.
Nature always wins. The real question is, are these infections being treated with ivermectin?
That's so funny because it is a
It's a
parasitic,
parasite.
anti-parasitic. That's the one thing that they would actually, yeah, that is interesting. I don't know how
Yeah,
they,
actually,
go for it.
could someone help me out with that? Like, they've been calling it parasite, but also it's a bacteria. Like, I would assume
Well,
these
I
are
think
two
it's a
different things.
parasite, but I think it can be treated with antibiotics. But antibiotics can sometimes have effects outside of their antibacterial effects. But I'm not sure of the exact mechanism
Oh,
of the treatment.
okay. Sorry, yeah, I was confused about this. Thanks for clearing that up.
Oh, I'm not sure that I fully clear. I'm just saying I'm hypothesizing. That definitely does happen, as in like just by happenstance, like this whatever microorganism or parasite happens to respond to an antibiotic, but it's not necessarily the antibacterial properties per se. But actually, I'm curious myself now that you brought it, so I'm going to look it up.
Oh, well, it's a protozoan. So protozoa are a polyphyletic group of single-celled eukaryotes, either free-living or parasitic, that feed on organic matter, such as other microorganisms or organic debris. Historically, protozoans were regarded as, quote, one-celled animals. So
Okay.
basically,
Okay. So
yeah.
it is a single. It is a single-celled animal. Single-celled life
Yeah,
form.
but it's definitely not a bacteria though.
It's not a
Yeah,
bacteria.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 'cause
But we're treating them with antibacterials, which oftentimes don't work on protozoans, but like in this case, it does. Okay.
it might have the antibiotic might have the same mechanism. I don't know. That is a good
Yeah.
question.
It's possible, but I mean, depending on the antibiotic, let's just say I don't think it's disrupting whatever peptidoglycan production. But I could be mistaken
Oh,
about
dude,
that.
this thing, it's an apocomplexa. It's a non-photosynthetic plastid, Corey. That's really cool. Like, very cool. Plastids are like chloroplasts. are plastids. So it's like it basically has a non-photosynthetic chloroplast. Like anyway, really that is really interesting. And sorry,
it's interesting why that they classify as a parasite. Like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's a single cell organism, right? Then like I don't know why wouldn't a bacteria be a parasite in the same way, right? But we don't classify those as parasites. That's what's like confusing me, you know?
That's fair.
They're living inside of other cells.
Yeah, as in, well, let's say you using maybe malaria as the example. Part of the malaria life cycle is like it infects your red blood cells, or rather, it needs to get inside your red blood cells in order to carry out part of its life cycle. As opposed to bacteria, they're more or less just like, you know, hanging around your body causing problems. As opposed to
malaria is also caused by a protozoan.
I don't know if it's a protozoa, but it is a parasite. Well, it's considered a parasite, and I believe it's also like eukaryotic as well. No, without getting into the weeds of what that is, but
yeah, sorry, I don't mean to like yeah.
That's just fancy, not bacteria, as in your cells are eukaryotic cells.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just, you know, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had this this question, right? Like, you know.
No, it is a valid question. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts with environmental contamination, unsporulated oocyte, environmental contamination that goes into the environment. The sporulated oocytes enter the food chain, gets on food that we ingest. Now it's sporulated, and then it ingests in the contaminated food and water. So, okay, interesting. And then it goes through and excreted. Excretion of unsporulated oocytes in the stool. Yeah, so it just uses your body as a little factory. What's up, Dr. Pete? How's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, based off of just my cursory research, superficial, it doesn't seem like they don't easily provide the mechanism of how the antibiotics are working. But I imagine it's probably not through antibacterial properties per se. I think there's something else going on.
Yeah, it's not saying anything. All right. Well, the last formal story of the night, Trump's latest CDC nominee vows not to betray science. All right. I think she's like the most qualified person. If it's the same person that
on paper,
yeah, I mean, she's like incredibly.
Based off of some of the things she said, I do have some hesitation.
Oh, really? Okay, we should like listen to some of her. Dr. Schwartz told senators in a confirmation hearing that she did not think RFK Jr. or Trump would ask her to do anything to hurt public health. Okay, that's a little head in the sand moment. Some senators were incredulous. Before a confirmation hearing on Wednesday, Dr. Erica Schwartz, Trump's third nominee in less than 2 years to lead the CDC, appeared all but certain to be approved by the Senate Health Committee, a crucial step. Dr. Schwartz, a deputy surgeon general in the first Trump administration, has publicly supported childhood vaccines and has been viewed as highly qualified mainstream choice. Her credentials may yet win her the votes she needs for confirmation, but her hearing was dominated by sharply worded questions about her willingness and ability to push back against RFK's policies, including his attempts to rescind recommendations for childhood vaccines. Bill Cassidy, who was the deciding vote on RFK even becoming the HHS secretary, I mean, he only did it because RFK said that he would never impact the ability to get vaccines. And obviously that's not true. And so he's probably a little mad about this. The committee's chairman, Senator Bill Cassidy, he's a he's a liver physician, and a physician, was scathing in his criticisms of Dr. Kennedy's policies and made it clear he would not tolerate vaccine skepticism from Dr. Schwartz. Quote, "We need a CDC director that will actually stand up to crazy, stupid things that have been said that undermine faith in immunization." Wow, he said, adding to the evil to promote misinformation of vaccines. Are you that person, Dr. Schwartz? Wow, good for him. Look at that, a spine. Interesting.
Well, I guess trying to, I don't know, maybe make up for the damage he did in, well, pretty much being the deciding vote for getting Kennedy where he is.
I know, it's just so embarrassing, man. Like
A
to
completely
trust him.
foreseeable problem.
Yeah,
But like,
exactly.
whatever.
Like to trust him like that's crazy.
And I don't know what this. I'm actually curious what he means by like, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this, because once she's in, right?
Mhm.
Like removing her will be extremely difficult. I don't like. Yeah, she can have a senator mad at her, but like whatever. Lots of senators are mad at RFK. Whatever.
True.
So like now's the time if you have any doubts, is to keep her out. Rather, like it's almost like it's going to take an effort of Congress to remove her. Otherwise, so I just don't see that happening.
Mhm.
And like yes, so like you can say that like I don't believe that RFK Jr. will have me do something stupid.
Yeah.
Amazing. First of all,
He's already asked that of like others.
Yeah.
Like, I think the
He
track
asked
record is
everyone
clear.
else. Everyone else but me.
I think it is I don't know a vote of unconfidence when like there's a clear pattern of this nonsense and you're like, oh, this wouldn't happen to me, like, or for whatever reason. I wouldn't believe these two would do that. Like I guess she's in a tough spot because like the people who are nominating you are Donald Trump, right? And then I guess on RFK Jr.'s maybe recommendation or something, I don't know, right? Like, and so if you say, oh yeah, they're likely to have do something illegal, right? Like, well, then they can just pull your nomination, right? So like,
Yeah.
so consider that, right? But also like the idea that like I would disobey them. Like I don't know. Trump doesn't like that anymore. For that thought that anyone would disobey him. So like it could possibly be the case. Maybe we're being too harsh on this individual, right? It could possibly be the case that she's exactly the type of woman that we want in this position. But just like the mechanics of getting confirmed requires her to do a bit of tap dancing here.
Yeah, exactly.
That like looks really bad. But like also, right? Like how else are we supposed to judge a person other than by the answers that they give during their confirmation, right? So
But yeah, but also like if they're tap dancing, and I think there's like I'm speculating at the end of the day, but there are some hints in there based off of like what's in the article, that like so like as I think Dr. Greg pointed out, like in the beginning, of like on paper, they seem highly qualified and credentialed, and like on
Mhm.
paper, yeah, maybe one of the best persons to lead the agency, but then there was a paragraph in here where, Susan Monrez, the CDC's previous permanent director, was confirmed by the Senate a year ago. But about a month later, Mr. Kennedy fired her over her refusal to accept the recommendations of his hand-picked panel of vaccine advisors. And Dr. Schwartz said at the hearing that she was unaware of Mr. Kennedy's interference in vaccine decisions. And so the fact that she's like unaware of this happening is like a problem.
What?
Fair.
Yeah, that's weird.
At least
man.
I think that's a problem. It's either you're not aware or like you are aware, but you don't want to say that you're aware because that makes you look bad, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so like it's
That's
either you're ignorant
embarrassing.
or you're tap dancing, and in my mind, both of those are like pretty
I'm
disqualifying.
trying to give her some grace here. But like I mean I hear exactly what you're saying, that like how are you not, I mean if I was aware of that, like I don't know how you weren't aware of this. Yeah. I mean, and like we've had like a whole list of like confirmation hearings this week, and we've seen exactly this uh, a number of times where these individuals pretend that they don't know like a common thing, like if you're a political junkie, right? Like a common thing that's known within like the political sphere that has happened, like that's relevant to the job that you're about to take, right? It's like, well, you don't know this thing, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like uh, I lean towards this, like yeah. My judgment leans towards the fact that it looks like she's trying to like get the confirmation, I guess just not for the sake of getting the position, as in like whatever, a power grab, and doing whatever it takes, while like
I mean,
trying.
it's an interview,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I
it is.
mean,
You're right.
again, maybe I'm being too gracious to her, and if someone wants to criticize me for that, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And I don't know this person. I don't know this person, so like whatever, right? To me, but um, like just consider the mechanics of like getting a job interview. Yeah, you're gonna say the rosiest thing to get the job interview. Like, and yes, you could call it a power grab, but like I don't know. It's also you want to get the job. Um, I mean, I think would I like for her to sit down and say like I absolutely categorically would not follow some sort of a legal order, right? Like, yeah, but like the only time we get those things are from like Supreme Court nominees, right? Because Supreme Court nominees can't be removed by the president like that, right? They can't just be yanked. But she can, right? She can get fired like quite easily.
Tomorrow.
Just like the last woman, right? Like so, they can disappear. So like understanding that, right? Like the pressures this person is on, even if, right, and especially if they're an actual like qualified like good candidate, right? Like these aren't so much pressures if they are a political hatchet man, right? Like then yes, I will say anything, right? I actually like those types of people like have no compunction. They are just loyalists and they're in there to do the loyalist job, right? That's what we've been dealing with like the rest of this week. For this individual, again, I don't know her, so I can't be sure what
Yeah, that's fair.
category she's in. Yeah, like if she's an actual qualified person, well, she's a qualified person that's been nominated by a narcissistic, impulsive moron with a ego that bruises like a banana, right? And so like she has to navigate that with a in a Senate confirmation where people are asking her very reasonable questions, but she maybe not be allowed to give reasonable answers. But
Yeah, that's fair. But again, there's another maybe not red flag, but something that's alarming in the same vein of like not being aware. As in, there's the paragraph. Mr. Kennedy has falsely called COVID vaccines the deadliest ever produced, and canceled nearly 500 million in mRNA vaccine contracts. I think we're all aware of that here. Asked whether she supported his actions, Dr. Schwartz said she had been unaware of the cuts. She also said she did not know about the cuts made by the Trump administration to smoking cessation and food safety programs when she was pressed about those policies.
Not serious people, man. They're just not serious. I mean, they just that is wild. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean, I love the
I like, even if I was like looking to get that job, I don't know. I personally not like would be embarrassed to like admit that I'm not aware of something like that.
I think they're just
at
like,
that
as
level.
Prime says, they're just trying to get out of the thing. They're trying to just get out. Like here you go. The Senate Health Committee also questions Sean Kaufman, the Trump administration's nominee for Assistant Secretary of Preparedness and Response, a role that includes oversight of emergency measures during public health crises. Mr. Kaufman has argued against mandates for COVID vaccines and against the use of hepatitis B vaccine in newborns, putting him directly at odds with Mr. Cassidy, who championed the shot. Why would you repeat those damn lies? Mr. Cassidy asked Mr. Kaufman, raising his voice. Mr. Kaufman seemed to distance himself from those views at the hearing, saying, "I believe in vaccines. I believe in the dose of hepatitis B." I think it's just, it doesn't matter what they found of you, what it is. You just like Kavanaugh, Roe versus Wade is the way of the land. That's what it is. I would never change it. And then as soon as possible becomes, you just do whatever you want. It's just, and they don't charge you now with like lying and contempt of Congress. So I feel like the entire thing is honestly just a joke. It's just a complete joke.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah. Look, do I expect greatness from anyone nominated by Donald Trump? Absolutely, effing not.
No.
So like, I don't know. Yeah, they'll be no fight up with me there. It's just that like, I don't know. We'll get much better than this, right? Like,
I mean, that's fair.
you know.
Yeah, I don't think that I would vote against her. I would vote for her for sure. Yeah, I think so. I think
Oh,
you have to.
interesting.
You would?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. Like, just based
Really?
off of those comments.
I mean,
Uh,
I think that she's. I mean, and these guys are all playing to an audience of one, right? They're all going for Trump, you know. So I think I think that's what happens is that they kind of like fall into that role, and I think that it's a huge problem. But like for compared to everyone else, I think that she's probably the best one that I've seen. But it's a low bar. It's a very
the
low
best
I
with
bar.
the
mean,
worst.
if you look at her record, if her record is exemplary, right? Like that's the thing that I would like rely on more. Like of taking in all the factors that
Exactly.
I've listed into a place. Like if she has a track record of like doing the right thing, then like I'm going to hope, right? I have reason to believe that she's capable of doing the right thing in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unlike these,
Fair.
these hatchet men, these loyal men, right? That like, I mean, they'll do anything. Well, it's clear they'll do anything that Donald Trump says. So like, I have no reason to believe otherwise. And so if you put one of, if I have to compare these two in front of me, a loyalist, I'll say anything and do anything, right? And uh, uh, a qualified individual who might say what is necessary, right, which is bad, but will not necessarily do everything, right? Will have limits, has limits on like their actions, and yeah, I guess I'll go with that person and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's I. So then, based off of that analysis from that scenario, I'd agree with you. Then, like, yeah, if those are, let's say, essentially the options, which in effect they are, then yeah, I agree with that conclusion. I would be forced to vote yes.
I guess I mean, like, what would your goal be? Like getting
Welcome to
this
the
this.
MAHA movement. Sorry, go ahead.
But the point is, like I mean, you're really trying to like go in and accept this job, and then know that you're literally trying to undermine it the entire time. It's kind of like a Manchurian candidate kind of thing. You're going in with like ulterior motives. I mean, for sure, if you're supporting science, you know what I mean. There's no way you can be neutral. If you support science, then that's directly opposed to the Trump administration, and it could be. It's just, I guess the question is like how much do you fight back soon so that they can like see you and out you and then oust you again. So because you know you're gonna get fired. So I'm sure she does too. She at some point she knows that she's gonna get fired. So I guess you just make sure you're doing the right thing as much as you can.
You
Well,
got
I
it on
mean,
your
based off of
resume.
her financial disclosures at the end, I think she'll be fine.
She needs to
Oh,
trade
really? Oh,
stocks. That's
wow.
what she
Okay.
needs to
I
do.
think she's like her net worth is I think whatever 5-6 million something like that. Not
Not
like
Oh,
ultra
enough.
wealthy,
well,
but
Not enough.
I think a nice cushion.
Um,
doing okay.
Jim Bob, Javier Becerra, HHS under Biden had no medical knowledge. He worked on healthcare policies. Yeah, he was the AG for California before going to the Biden HHS. But this is actually heading the CDC. So right, yeah,
Yeah, CDC director,
yeah, the
I believe.
CDC director. So I mean, this is a little bit more applied. HHS like more broadly. Um, they a lot
Yeah,
of go
heading a
for it.
department is a bit different than heading an agency, right? The department is like the superset, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of agencies under the department, and like if you were a person who had like good managerial experience, then that might be fine, right? For a department head,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah. But an agency head, I would I guess expect more specialized knowledge to like lead the agency.
I mean, the
But
problem
yeah,
isn't for me. The problem isn't for me that RFK is not an MD, DO, or PhD or something like heading the HHS. The problem with me is that he isn't any of those things, and he acts like he is, and he overrides the overwhelming scientific consensus with his opinions and his vibes, as opposed to doing research and showing it and that kind of thing. So, totally think that you could have a non-physician, non-scientist in that position and be okay.
I think you potentially can. I think it's, let's say, it has to be a very exceptional person in my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, like, go ahead.
I think expertise matters, and it could just be like a really good, well run executive that just is able to be kind of like a good person to run the department.
My computer was slowing down, or I would do
Mm.
this myself. But like, could someone look up like all the departments under Health and Human Services?
Yeah,
Yeah,
should be
all
able
the
to.
agencies under. Yeah, yeah. Because it strikes me, and again, well,
So many,
I'm going to say this
13.
before I get that list, and maybe I'm going to eat my words. But like, it strikes me that like there's a whole list of agencies doing like many different things, right? Like, and if that's the case, then I don't really need actually a specialized doctor. Like, I just need someone who can, you know, get these agencies to work properly in concert,
Mm.
and get their individual tasks done. And what I'm concerned about like is having the proper agency heads under me,
Yeah.
who can like get those specific missions done. But what do we got here?
Yeah, NIH, CDC, IHS, Indian Health Services. I didn't know about that. That's cool. FDA,
Mm.
ASTDR, Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, HRSA, the the Resources and Services Administration, and a bunch of alphabet stuff. So, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what MD position prepares you for like all of that, right? I mean, we've talked
Yeah.
about this. Like, there's like a specialized knowledge that like a doctor understands, um, and there's a specialized knowledge that a microbiologist, understands. But like, you don't know all of those things, right?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of being the department head specifically, like you just need to like manage those people, manage the people who do know those things, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think any good executive is going to like empower people. Like, so I think that makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
I can be convinced. If you have a different opinion on this, Corey, then I can be
No,
convinced of
no,
you.
like, you make a good case. Like, what I like, I'm obviously biased. Would I prefer someone academically credentialed? But that is like my bias. I'm also biased against CEOs and executives. So
Fair enough. Yeah, fuck them. I hear you. No, screw it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I could
And
definitely
I
see like I could see like if there was a push by an administration to implement like a single payer private provider system or something that you could have someone more like executive like minded and
mm,
for like an operating kind of like executive. I think it just kind of is the goal of the administration. I think Biden put Becerra in there because he wanted to do some type of like crackdown or something for regulations on healthcare insurance companies or something like that. That was the idea. He had already done that as California AG. So I think that was the impetus there. I mean, obviously RFK was just completely unqualified, and that was like the corrupt deal to win the election. So yeah, but yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I mean, to a certain extent, like, you know, outlook matters here, or maybe to a large extent. Like, for the Health and Human Services position, especially, I wouldn't want someone who like thinks of like all of these positions, the people under them, or the people being served by these agencies as like widgets or units, and thinks of them like like a fucking business major, um, like thinks of these things, and maybe that'd be a problem, Like, I think a person who like generally cares about individuals is a person I would want at HHS, and actually I would want that type of person everywhere in the government.
Mhm.
That's that's my bias there, right? Yeah, a person who cares about others, and thinks about like the best ways to like deliver for them. But for health and human services, that seems like especially more important. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
especially
yeah,
for like CDC, I would and Efon made this point, and I totally agree. Like a public health, like a public health degree would be incredible. I mean, that's obviously the
mhm,
huge tantamount like push for the CDC and prevention too. Like I think that could be
yeah,
that could be a lot of different like science roles, a lot of a lot of different like umbrellas and inside academia. So, but I don't know. She's yeah. I probably would vote yes. I probably would. I mean, just because compared to the big problem right now is we just don't have acting directors in so much of the government right now. I mean, it's just wild. Trump one did the
No,
same
we
thing.
do have acting directors.
Sorry.
That's the problem.
Sorry,
It's the other way
confirmed
around,
directors. Confirmed direct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like that at some point, like if she's the best that you got, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess
Brian made a solid case as to why I should vote for her.
Yeah. I think
hold your nose, man.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I mean, I think
I wanted to also talk about
sure.
Pete Hegseth.
There's also something to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you guys. I should have, I guess, put an article there, but I was just assuming everyone had heard.
Yeah.
About the low T situation. Are you aware, Corey?
Yeah. I heard the announcement that like they're going to do well. I think I think they're making it voluntary, like voluntary testosterone screening, and like if they request, I think treatment, they'll give it to them, type of thing. So that's more or less the sentiment that I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's that soldiers 30 and over will, like, part of their regular screening will include a testosterone screening, right? And then they'll be given the option to like take testosterone replacement therapy or treatment, and then from there. But soldiers who are younger can also request the screening if they want. And so like endocrine scientists or whatever, right? Researchers have been speaking out of this, like, this is really dumb. This is a dumb idea. this is horrible. And for multiple reasons. And so the reasons that I understand, from listening to this is that like first of all, like T levels are all over the place. Like judging them is like quite like what's the baseline? What's like low T is actually quite difficult to figure out. Like, what's normal for me might be quite normal for our friend Corey, which also might be quite different from our friend Dr. Greg here. Like we could have 3 different T levels, right? But everything to be functioning properly. All right. And so like it's like kind of like they're judging it when things are like bad, right? Like, or when you're like at the extremes, like of where the ranges are. Like if you're like extremely high, extremely low, right? That's when there's like a really big problem. But there's just a wide range otherwise. But there's lots of things that apparently affect it. Again, this is what I'm hearing from the articles. Is that like when you take the screening test matters, right? Like apparently you'll have more testosterone at the beginning of the day, right? You sweat out the rest, I guess. I don't know, like as the day goes or something, right? But then like the amount of testosterone that you have might, depends on like your job, and like your T levels will change if you're like a desk jockey, compared to someone like doing construction, and so like again, what is normal for that individual? And then of course there's like the differences in testing methods and all that. And then I have heard from one outlet that I was watching it, but I didn't double check this, that like to actually properly screen this, like you have to do like multiple tests, right, over like some sort of period of time. And so like this sounds like an easy thing, right? Like, oh well just give me my T levels, right? But like there's a lot more to that. And then like there is like the benefits. What are the perceived benefits of doing this, of like going down this route? One, like there's a lot of there's a lot of tests in various aspects of medicine, right? That like are not recommended. Now it's not that these things can't give you like information that might be actionable. It's just that like how people react to the information might make them like make improper have an improper response, right? Like make them worry about something that they shouldn't be worried about, right? And so like, hey, we don't necessarily recommend this unless there's like a reason to like go down this route. Okay, like, let's do this specific test for this specific purpose, right? Because otherwise, like, you worry the patient for something that, you know, they don't fully understand. You're just like giving them information that like they don't really know how to use. And so this seems like one of them, right? This seems like one of those situations where like what people have in their mind what testosterone does, and how useful it is. I mean, we've got like a whole fucking social media like college industry telling men like, you know, well, like, I'm a high T man, meaning I'm an alpha man, right? Like literally judging their masculinity based on this. People again have no idea what the hell they're talking about here, and then like they're equating high testosterone to being more masculine, right? You are more masculine. Look at that Chad over there. He must have like high T. Like what? these things don't match at all. But if that's like how people are looking at this, then like necessarily like putting this information in front of them, right? When you're on the lower end of the scale of testosterone, like they don't know how to interpret that, right? And it can cause them to do improper actions. And then there's like the idea of like what is testosterone, the actual testosterone replacement treatment. My understanding is like once you start that, you have to continue. That like you lose your ability to create testosterone. This is my understanding here. And so like
Over a certain
you
amount of
keep,
time, generally speaking. Yeah.
there's a certain amount of time. Yeah, not immediately. Like you don't take 1 pill and it's done. But yeah, but I understand. Yeah, like over a certain amount of time, like you eventually like lose your ability to do so. Like so that's why this is like a TRT is like a last ditch effort, right? They don't. This is not the first thing they do. When you're determined to have low T, apparently, like, you know, a healthy diet and exercise like helps a lot with that, right? So like this idea that he's like pushing this, he makes an announcement to the troops, right? An announcement to them. Hey, like you can get your T levels measured, right? And we will provide you with T. Oh my god, I think I spit on my camera. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. We'll provide. I'm a high T person, and so like
You're providing
that's my
saliva for the testosterone test.
That's okay. As my testosterone, like I can't. It squirts out of me all the time. We got so much of it. Anyway, like, like it's. You tell these people like, yeah, we're going to test. I am the Department of War, like the Secretary of War, right? And I'm telling you that this is a good thing, right? And this makes us a better army, right? And you want to be a good soldier, right? You want to be a good part of this military, right? And you are a young man who's been like importing all of this, like these thoughts about like testosterone over the years. And so like, yeah, it can drive people to make a completely medically unnecessary decision. Hopefully the doctors like at the VA or whatever will tell these people like, no, like we'll do the test because we're required to do the test, right? But like, no, hopefully.
Yeah, I largely agree with pretty much everything you said.
This is a tough one, man. I think like I think that everyone having like a baseline blood work sample done, you know, so doing your metabolic screening with your baseline testosterone and stuff, like sometimes probably like late mid 20s probably is like just a good baseline just to see where you're at, you know, just to get a data point, just to see what your normal levels are, just in case something does happen
even
later.
I don't know if you mean that literally, but even one data point is not really going to give you much information.
It could get you. It definitely could get you in the ballpark of like, you know, if you're your resting levels of like, you know, certain things, like you definitely get. You're not going to get like a triplicate or something. It's not going to be statistically significant, sure, but if something is way out of range, you know, I think that you should, you know, people should should look into it. You know, at least get a just to have some history of blood work
Yeah,
is
I'm not
probably a
opposed
good
to it,
idea.
but I don't know that it. So I'll leave it up to the clinicians, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure providing a treatment based off of one test alone is like best practices. But I'll leave it to the clinicians.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it was like impossible to get someone to even want to do anything for me. I had like low T symptoms, and like really, I was like depressed. I didn't have any drive. I didn't want to, and I just felt like crummy, like, and it felt like I just had the lights kind of like just died out, and I had a low libido. I had like all these different things, and um and I honestly didn't think that it was low T for the longest time. And because I thought I was on Adderall before for my ADD medication, I had gone off of it. So I was like, oh, I just need to like get back on Adderall, and like that's the stop the stupidity. Awesome, thank you, dude. Thank you for the gift subs, man. So I was like, oh, I'll just get back on Adderall and maybe try Vyvanse this time or something like that. And I took and I just had it was Googling my symptoms or whatever, and low T like came up there, and I was like hitting a bunch of them, and I'm like, what is, no way. And do the test, and I'm at like 190, and like the 200 is like the cutoff for some insurances, but other ones it's like 300. So, and then men can
300.
yeah, XY like a assigned male at birth, like we're looking at 300 to like 900. It's kind of like the standard like range that people talk about. And so first physician, I don't know, she was a woman. I could not convince her. She was just like, nah, no, you're fine. And I was like, I feel like you're not really listening to me. And then I went to this next physician, and same thing. He just like did not like really care about like my stuff, and it was really frustrating because I'm like, dude, I feel wrong. Like I feel like not myself, you know? And I finally went to a third physician, which was at like a sports physician place, which was honestly, if you can have this, check this out. I mean, it was a sports and family clinic that's at they do in San Diego. They do the USA like Olympics team. They like those guys go there. They get their stuff done there. It's an incredible, if you can get like a sports spot, you know, it is awesome. Because I'm like I want to, I'm like, 37 at this time, and I'm like, bro, I have like so much of my life left. Like I shouldn't be feeling like this. I don't feel normal. And so yeah, so sure enough, he was like, yeah, of course we can do something. And I didn't, and basically it was like they start you off on a cream, which is like a really small amount, and you basically like rub it on your belly or rub it on your or shoulders, and it was just really, I still had a bunch of my symptoms. And then he's like, well, if you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that. We're going to have to get you out into an endocrinologist or a urologist. Then we have to then I'm just like, bro, like, are you serious? Like, come on, man. And you talk to people that are doing, their treatments through there, and they are like using way outdated information. A lot of those guys are like, they're doing protocols where it's like an injection once every other week, and you have like the half-life is like 8 to 10 days. It matters what ester you use, but it's like, so that means that every single like 12 or 13 days, you're basically putting yourself in a trough of your testosterone. You're going to feel like absolute, like a dumpster, like every 12 or 13 days until you get that shot, which is a huge bolus. And then you're going to feel great for, 4 or 5 days. And then you're going to feel like dog shit for the rest of it. And then it's like, what, like nobody does that, dude. Nobody does that nowadays for treatments and stuff. So I went to one of the TRT clinics, and it was just like night and day difference, man. It's wild. Like the quality of life improvement that I've had. Like my ADD symptoms have like gone away. Like I have executive function now. I don't feel like I need Adderall. I don't even want to.
I think you had it always before. just I don't know. You want to frame it as a binary of like
What?
executive function gone, now
Well,
restored.
well, well.
Pretty
The
sure.
problem was, I mean, it's hard to explain it, but like, I didn't have power over the things that I was doing before, where I would find myself
Sure.
doing things that I don't want to do, but I'm spending my time doing them. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is so frustrating. Like, it's really, when you don't have power over your own actions kind of thing, where you're just like, I'm doing random things, this, as opposed to like focusing down and getting something done. Like when I got pharmacologically aligned, now all of a sudden a lot of those symptoms like went away, and so it's like completely changed my life, for the better. So my wife notices it. She's like, this is like you're completely different. It feels like turning on the light in a room where it's dark. You can see with the light off. You can see, right? But then once you turn the light on, you're like, whoa, this is a completely different experience. So it's extremely disheartening for me. I like to go through this, and it's really frustrating. It feels like, you're not getting it feels weird shopping around for physicians. It feels bad, like not getting your symptoms listened to. I do think that the social media and a lot of these influencers and stuff are like going on, like, it's not TRT at freaking in your early 20s. Like you're just doing gear. You know what I mean? This is like, it's completely different. So,
Yeah.
and the rate that these guys do, the bodybuilders and stuff, we're talking about like 10 times the amount. Like they're doing 3,000 to 5,000 a week, and I'm doing, like 100 to 200. So we're talking a huge disparity.
What's the unit? I've heard
It's
like
like nanogram per
I've never heard
deciliter or something. Yeah,
anagram per
nanogram.
deciliter.
I think.
Nanogram.
Yeah.
Nanogram per deciliter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I can totally see, my point is like, if you are like legitimately sub 200 and you're legitimately need replacement therapy, it legitimately is like a huge quality of life improvement, like a
Yeah, for
huge
sure.
quality of life improvement. Like, so if these guys are, and I had heard that like you can't be on TRT while being in the army because you're not considered like battle ready. So because you can't be like in the war zone for, a month at a time without any medication. So you're not considered like safe to be there.
Oh.
So that's kind of, I mean, if that's the, no war is fought like that anymore, but whatever. So yeah, it is a little bit like, people are kind of like old timey with this. I think, honestly, I mean, politically, I think this is such a win for Dems, like just in general. It's like, yeah, this stuff is gender affirming care. It's as, it is really important for trans people just as much as it is for, men and me,
Cis people.
Yeah, exactly. Cis people. And so it's like, give me the access, give them the access, give whatever, whoever it is important. I think the problem is that like we risk like pushing all this stuff into these gray markets, and where people are going to these clinics now, and the same clinic that I go to, dude, they're doing terzipatides, they're doing all these GLP-1 agonists, all these things now. And it's like, we're bifurcating our healthcare now, where they have, and I think that's the biggest problem, is that you're going to have people that aren't telling their physician, that are lying to them, that are in these gray market doing antibodies or peptides or whatever it is that they're getting on. And now it's like,
I really like this point that you're making. Well, two things, right? Just to make sure, in case anyone thought otherwise, like I wasn't saying that TRT doesn't have a purpose, right? I hope no one mistook that. That like, yeah, if you need it, right? If you are one of those individuals, and I'm glad our good friend Greg got help, but like if you are one of those individuals, like get the help that you need. Absolutely, right? My problem is like people may possibly doing this when they don't need to, right? Because they have a misunderstanding of what testosterone is for, what it accomplishes, and they're not necessarily dealing with things that Dr. Greg or and others have dealt with. And they're just being told, like, they're like, hey, to be more manly, I got to get this number up higher, and that
yeah,
will do something
exactly.
for me, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So to make that very clear. But like the second thing that you said, I think is super interesting. Um, something that happened during the pandemic, one of the many things that happened during the pandemic, in the U.S. And I'm curious as to what the situation is in Canada. But in the U.S., like telemedicine became like a thing where you could, before, like, you had to go in person to a doctor to get diagnosed. But now you don't, right? In fact, I've used one of these places before. There's a bunch of these companies, and you just like call them, right? And they'll screen you online. They'll just like ask you a few like cursory questions. I got cursory questions, right? And then like, oh yeah, you want this medication? Sure, it's fine. But like I got it. I got the medication that I needed, right?
Well, so the
And
TRT stuff is like you do a blood screen. You can do blood screen. You can have someone come to your house. So Quest Diagnostics and stuff, they do if you can pay someone to come to your house to do the blood panel. Usually you're doing the fasting in the morning because you want to do your metabolic screen at the same time too, just to like see what's going on, because you want to see cholesterol. Cholesterol is like tied with a lot of your HDLs, LDLs are tied to exogenous testosterone too. So you want to kind of like get them all done at the same time. But now they do sell at home TRT like clinic, like stuff where you just put it on your arm and it just gets a small amount of blood. And that's just for like testosterone free and total testosterone, like super, super simple stuff.
hold on, let's put a bookmark on this. Corey, I want to ask about your past experience with that company. I'm talking about this
Yeah, of
Tesla.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's not forget that. That'll be entertaining. But before we get there, yeah. So the point is that I'm just getting at is that like, and I don't know if this is like the case for all medications, right? Like, like what is allowed to be prescribed over the phone. I don't know what the whole situation is, but like the point is, and the only point that I wanted to make here is that like when Dr. Greg says that our health industry is being bifurcated, right? Like I think this is part of it. Now, actually, I really like those the telemedicine plays because like it was really helpful to me. Like it was difficult going to the doctor for like similar reasons that our friend Dr. Greg said. So like in getting the things I needed, right? Like and so uh, like having that service is just like fantastic. The problem is like it wasn't covered by insurance, but like still it was like I was able to access the medication that I required.
Mm-hmm.
And so like but um like who gets like the proper treatment, right? Who can go to the doctor and get their um symptoms like treated seriously, right? Like people are unfortunately were ignoring Dr. Gray. He was like trying to relate a need, and he wasn't getting serviced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like he's pushed into this like I'll make no statements about it, but just like like this is a different environment, right? This
Yeah.
isn't like the clean hospital. I won't say clean, but like this is a different type of a place.
It's
And
bougie
so
as
like,
hell, dude. It's crazy. Most of doctors' offices wish they were like this. It's like,
oh, okay, yeah, okay,
yeah,
well then
that's
yes, yeah,
nice. Yeah.
but like why should you have? And so, but that actually makes another problem. Like if it's bougie as hell and if it's expensive, right? Like if Dr. Greg doesn't have that, if he doesn't have a wife who is like I think she makes pretty good money, right?
Mhm.
Like what does he do? Like how? Like I imagine this was affecting your ability to be a father. Like if we're having this level of trouble, but he doesn't get that kind of help. So it seems like we're not even bifurcating, we're trifurcating, right? There's people who can go through the regular medical system, right? Go to the doctor, get their stuff taken seriously, right? Then people can go outside of it to like better services, right?
Mhm.
Who can afford that, and then the others, right, like me, who are going through like kind of sketchy organizations to like get the help that they needed, and like that at a relatively low cost, but like questionable quality, right? And I didn't have any
Mhm.
like negative interactions, right? Like things were good with me, but what if I did, you know? Um, like I might be screwed. So like, yeah, I don't know. It seems like, yeah, as always, whoever can pay more gets the best service. So,
It's tough. You got a chatter. This is just makes me so frustrated because it just isn't easy for women to get hormones tested. Yeah, I've had the same issues with family members too, user, and I think it really is weird. I think that the the opioid epidemic, I think it led a lot of people to be kind of negative about medications, that can cause adverse side effects, the long-term repercussions. So I think that they're so scared of like pushing that, like, and getting someone on that. That's the only thing that I can think of. But at the same time, like, I'm of the opinion that I want to be like unnaturally healthy, right? I want to be healthy for longer than I normally could be. And I feel like pharmacological methods are a good way to
Like the
do that.
Brian Johnson mentality. Sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah, sure. Like biohacking and stuff like that. I mean, as a scientist, dude, I think that stuff's actually kind of cool, like genuinely. So like, I think that like medicine improves our lives, as opposed to thinking that like medicine is like
well, I don't
the,
disagree, but
no, yeah, I'm just
appropriately
saying,
tested medications.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. But there's just like there's such a like a phobia of like being on like a medication, and prime, you're right in the fact that like TRT, people always go like, oh, are you going to be on this for your life? And your endogenous or your testes stop producing testosterone for it matters which guy, obviously, like if it comes back or not. You can take other medications in order to kind of make your make
mm.
them come back. But um it's like someone saying, well, do you want to feel like shit again? And I'm like, no. And like, of course
Mm.
I'm going to keep doing this. Like, well, I get to, it's like, it's a like you were saying just now, like it's a privilege to have a medication that can drastically improve my life. So like, of course I'm going to keep doing it.
Corey, tell us about your experiences.
My experience, well, as in like with that company, well, so I, I I very briefly worked at a company that was trying to develop hormonal testing. So they
Mm.
have developed a test for cortisol, but through saliva,
Oh,
through an
cool.
LFA. As in, like, if you've taken a rapid at-home COVID test, they have essentially developed a saliva-based test for measuring cortisol levels. But this company is also it's attempting to also do the same thing for testosterone and progesterone. But that's like in development, as in they have not yet succeeded in being able to come up with a saliva test for testosterone or progesterone. But they've been in
Hmm.
development for a while.
Hmm. Both are
Yeah,
really important.
and it sounds like what they're trying to do is extremely difficult, but like they're raising money off of like
They are raising
doing
money.
these things. Yeah, yeah. So they're making, it seems like they're making promises to investors. Oh, that we can do this. Because like the point is like to have, because like if you heard like what Dr. Greg talked about, right? Like in terms of the testosterone testing at home, that didn't sound like so easy. I even sounds like you have to like use like blood, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
For
all
that.
is. Yeah. And
But
then the test is shipped out. Yeah.
but if it can be a saliva test, right? If it can make it easy, right? There's like a whole of like niche industry, right? For like these at-home tests, right? The point
Hmm.
is to make it as easy as possible, lower the barrier of entry there. There's like a lot of money to be made, but this particular company has been saying this product's coming soon, right? Anytime now. But like
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming or already there in Q1 this year.
yeah, yeah. But like, yeah, like this is just like an area where like kind of grift can happen, honestly. Where you can say like, yeah, we're so close to developing this test, and this would, and if you develop an accurate test, this would actually be great, right? It'd be
Hmm.
great for people who are
If it was
in,
scientifically validated, yes. But
yeah.
this is more like my issues are like this is in like the wellness space and like uh to be clear, like as Prime already mentioned, like there are absolutely individuals that require testosterone replacement therapy. But I do have concerns of like uh, creating a problem or uh, implanting the seed in people's mind that there's a problem when there isn't. As in, like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's great for people to be tracking their cortisol like every day.
Yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing is like, and everyone knows, like in the TRT clinic thing, you just say like, oh, I still have symptoms. Like even my levels are at 300 or 400, but no, I still feel, and I still have low T symptoms. And then the clinician goes, okay, well, we're going to treat the symptoms and not some artificial number on a piece of paper. So now you're on it. It's like, and you're going from like 400 to 1,000 or something. And so you are going to have an increase, but you're basically like your body, you can be a hyper responder too. So your body, if you have like low T, like normally, and then your receptors are just really, really specific towards testosterone. So they're really, really, if it's in there, they're really freaking out and they're having they're going to respond a lot to it. So going just a little bit on someone that is a hyper responder, they're gonna have bad side effects, because testosterone is kind of like a huge signaling molecule. It could go like a ton of different pathways into your body. So, you really don't want to be overloading something that's that systemic, right? You're gonna get tons of negative side effects to the point where it's like that's where your heart enlarges. That's where you get men start developing breasts, stuff like that, where it's you can get very you can get some weird stuff. So my fear with this is that you get a bunch of guys that are healthy that don't know the ramifications. I mean, I have a vasectomy, so I'm out on that one. And then and everyone that does go into your T, if you don't have a kid yet, please make some sperm. Like, oh my God, please, like just in case. Just that it's not worth it. They could not understand the side effects, or they get to the point where now they're out of the army and they're like, well, I'm gonna go to the gray market and I'm just gonna like actually like just hop on gear at 10 times the rate. And this sounds like, if they're already there, you know what I mean? TRT, the medication done at the right levels, incredibly safe. We've been doing it since the 1950s with men. It's actually like really safe. At the levels that bodybuilders are doing it, very dangerous. People die in their mid 20s all the time because of it. So there is like some, like balance that you have to do, and you have to do blood work constantly. You do have to kind of like, shoot yourself with a needle every day kind of thing. It gets a lot, or every other day. But yeah, it can be like arduous, but and you have to do it right. That's my big thing. I don't think that they're going to be doing best practices at like the military, TRT clinic. It sounds like. So that's my thing. But I do think that there's like some fear mongering with cis men in regards to this, because there is like a weird confluence of like you were talking about, Prime, like being low T is like a bad thing. It's like embarrassing to be like low T, but then being on testosterone is like its own thing. And then I think, yeah, as libs, we just own this and be like, see, this is why trans healthcare is so important. So I think that's the angle that we take.
Clavicular, the
Yeah.
Max guy,
Mhm.
right? Apparently, and I just checked this. He stated that he is sterile because, like, since 14, he's been taking TRT. Yeah, right, crazy. And he at least he believes that that's what made him infertile now. And like, I mean, honestly, first of all, part of these things, like for this class of individual, part of them thinking they're masculine is like being able to like knock a woman up, right?
Mhm.
And so like, yeah, it apparently didn't go your way, right? Like you got to be virile, to be a real man. But
He
like,
probably shouldn't
it's
have
a
children, at least not anytime soon.
I mean, no, it worked out for humanity, absolutely, right? But like this is the thing that happens. So like, Greg says like, hey, maybe you should like put some sperm in a sperm bank or something like that. I don't know, right? Save up some sperm. Yeah, do that too. That's a good idea. But what Corey and I think we're getting at, right? We're not just talking about men who like need something, right? But their numbers say differently, right? Like it's that like Corey and I were talking about a different problem here, where people are like for good reasons, like trying to be more healthy, right? Trying to like take control of their wellness, and they're like getting like streams of information, right? And so like one, you got to assume this information is even correct, which is another thing. But like
True.
even if they are correct, people are getting these streams of information and like trying to make sense of it. It could be the case where literally too much data is actually detrimental, right? Because if you don't know how to interpret it, if you don't know what to do with it, right? And so like Corey brings up the cortisol levels, right? Like, okay, right, well, my cortisol levels are 50. I don't even know what the scale is for that. But like I got 50 cortisol units of cortisol, Corey, right? Is that good? Is that bad? Right? Like, and like, do I have too much? Should I make some life-changing decisions based around that? Like, if we are giving these people all these like at-home tests, right? Because the point is like even putting the test in front of people, like signals to a person that this is something that needs to be tested, right? That's something that should be tracked.
Right.
But like maybe not. Maybe it's like it's okay, right? And if you're feeling symptoms like our friend, Dr. Greg was like, then maybe yes, you should reach out to medical professionals. You should try to explore what those things are. But like people will associate, oh, okay, like today, like I was feeling crappy, and then the cortisol levels were like 75 units. And so that must be it, right? People will form patterns themselves as to like what's happening. And again, this is like too much data and not being able to like apply that data properly. And so it'd be better, you would actually be better off not knowing any of this stuff, right? And then like I don't know, like finding like holistic ways to tackle this, like like exercising or whatever,
Yeah. Well, I think you summarized the sentiment that I have pretty well. Well, that we have pretty well. But like one of the examples that comes to mind, or multiple examples, like again, I'm not a doctor or a clinician of any kind, but like I don't know that it's all that useful for a typical healthy human to like be wearing a continuous glucose monitor, or like even to be tracking like their sleep on it. Like I'm not sure how beneficial it is to have like a sleep score every single day. Of like at least I think there's some subset of people of like, oh, if they get a bad sleep score, that's like anxiety inducing, of like just kind of be paranoid of like, oh, I need to be obsessed with my sleep. I don't know, like, yes, is it on average good to have good sleep habits and have good sleep, but like is one bad day really gonna like ruin your life? Almost certainly not, or probably not. And I think it's
I mean,
well,
think
yeah.
about what was it hypochondriacs? Is that the one I'm thinking
Yeah.
of?
Oh,
Yeah,
those
like
are
yeah. I mean, I first of all, this is like those are the whales of this industry, right? Those are the whales of this industry. Tell me I'm wrong, right? These are the people that they're selling to, and like people are like desperately anxious about their bodies. I don't think Dr. Greg, I don't think you're one of them, right? Like you saying you sound like you just kind of want to take control of your health, which is again, nothing wrong with that impulse. I want to make that very clear. But like 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 and there's another part is just like reducing health to a number, right?
Yeah.
Like the sleep number. What the hell's a sleep number? like what is that sleep score? What is that, right? I don't know, maybe it tells you something useful, right? And maybe they like publish some sort of calculation for like what this is, but like does that correlate to like great health outcomes like one way or the other? I don't know, but but this is like I don't know. I'm sure someone could this is the time in like the article where someone like brings it all together and like makes some grand statement about like how society's been progressing, right? But like this seems like a consequence of our hyper individualized sense of health, and our like
are gamifying like society,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like commodifying things. I don't know, right? Like I feel like this is like the fact that we look at health this way, right, as a score, like a number to get up, right, or
Mm-hmm.
down sometimes, but up, right, like says something about like where we are as a society, and it's probably not healthy, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, I think, man, I think we are at a point in, like, we are at a, we're going to start seeing some incredible dividends, I think, from scientific research into medicines that have taken decades into going. And so basically like molecular biology and gene therapy, right? Create there in our lifetimes, there is a really good chance that all of us will have the opportunity to get our sequencing done and find the diseases or the potential to have disease or the error codes in our DNA and have like a specific made to you bespoke gene therapy that you just go into your physician's office or a clinic or something and they just administer this to you, and then within one shot that's it, and your body just like those changes are made. I mean that they're doing that right now with diseases and stuff like that. So you might just have like hey, we found this mutation and it's like a 30% chance that you might develop this in the future. Do you want to get this taken out for a couple million? And you're like, yeah, I do. That sounds like a good idea. Boom, let's get that done. GLP-1 agonists, those are it for 60% of the country that, that's obese or overweight, that's going to improve their quality of life, and
For sure.
the worst thing that I could think of, it would be like disconnecting healthcare providers and people who have dedicated their lives to this, like in the true pursuit of it, of trying to improve people's quality of life, and then disconnect that with like or improperly correlate those people with like the experience that you have with healthcare insurance companies or our national healthcare system or lack thereof. Like they're different. And as people get more and more disconnected, like, should I be talking to my clinician about like that I found like this terzepatide on this gray market website? Like, yeah, you should be telling them about that. You know, stuff like that. It's like there is a rapidly evolving reality that exists, like, and the worst thing that I think that people could have is like they had a bad experience with trying to get a GLP-1 agonist or something like that, and they say no or something like that, and then they say, well, they didn't think I needed it, but then I went and I got it from this Chinese lab or something, and then I injected it, and then now I feel great, and my whole life changed because now I'm not overweight. Like, this is a life changer for me. So, man, if this physician didn't think that this was a big thing for me, what do they know about anything else? What do they know about vaccines? Like stuff like that. Now it's like now
Oh,
now we're having a
but
big tertiary impact, a secondary impact.
I don't necessarily, but it sounds like, but correct me if I'm wrong, but
Hmm.
what I'm understanding is uh, like a doctor denying a GLP-1 agonist, it sounds like your concern is like, well, they're going to get it from someone else. So as in, so a
Yeah.
doctor should never deny a GLP-1 agonist.
It's tough, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how to marry this thing.
Okay, that's
Like
fair.
that,
Because
I don't know.
I
I
do
don't
see an
know.
issue with like if someone's going to the doctor saying, hey, I just want to like lose 10 pounds for, for a beach body, I
Hmm.
think that's problematic to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I mean, it's, I don't know, man. It's
But it
very
is tough. Yeah,
tough.
it is tough.
It is tough.
And that's where it's like I think in my very niche scenario, I don't think that's a problem. As in, someone has created a problem, and that's my concern. Also, of like, again, if we're tracking too much, as Joe Prime
Hmm.
outlined nicely, is like, well, we're planting the seed of like this is a problem that needs to be optimized.
Hmm.
Of like, if I'm not getting
Mm.
perfect sleep scores every single day, like I gotta solve that problem.
But if the thing is like I'm not gonna if I'm not gonna go to the physician and I'm not gonna get the answer from them, then and I'm gonna go somewhere else and I'm gonna try it out. You know, like I think it's gonna be I don't know,
I think
man.
some people will, not everyone will, right? Like, which is a good and a bad thing, right? Like, for instance, like you, Dr. Greg, sounded like you actually needed help. And
Mhm.
so it's a good thing that you were persistent and you were
Yeah.
able to solve your problem, right? But for others, like especially if like they don't have a like a, it's not like a deep, strong desire, especially because it's not like really actually big problem in their life, then being told correctly by a doctor that you shouldn't engage in this, this medication or whatever, this treatment, will probably be the end of it. They're like, oh, okay, right? Like this is the difference between like, you know, uh, drugs being advertised to consumers, and
Mhm.
then like drugs like, a situation where like the doctor is the one who introduces these things, right? Because people like are sold a problem that they may not necessarily have, or that can
Right.
just be
Ask your
easily
doctor
solved by.
about whatever.
Yeah, right. Like there there are benefits to this because yeah, maybe your doctor doesn't know about this particular medication, right? Or maybe like hearing about a medication that solves a problem might like help you realize, oh, this this thing that's been wrong with me, it gives me a name to the issue, right? And then something you can track down, right? Maybe. But probably for a lot of the people is that like it puts it in their minds that like, oh, this is something I need when they don't, right? And they go to their doctors and harass them over this stuff, like I need to get on this thing, when like you don't really need to, like all like there's really no indication that you should be, but they'll go on it any which way. And I'm backing you up, Dr. Greg,
Mhm.
when you're saying that like I don't know how to solve that, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
Like I yeah, I want to empower people with like my principles, like my core instincts here are to empower people with more information,
Mhm.
right? But then everything I've already said already, that can necessarily be detrimental. But I also don't want to hide, quote unquote, hide information from people as well, right? I want to empower them if they, if there's medication out there. Yeah, I want people to be able to just to say like, yeah, I need this thing if that's something that they need. But like I can also understand that there's going to be a whole list of people who are going to demand stuff that like they don't need, and like they simply are not equipped to necessarily tell the difference. So yeah, I don't know the answer.
I think the GLP-1 agonists have really changed the game in that, like, I think normally maybe for like an antidepressant or like something where it's like a little, there is some like friction there. You're like, what is going to happen? What's the possible outcome? You don't know. You've seen something about it. The physician says that's not a good idea, and you're just like, that's it, yeah, that's it, and then that's the end of it. Like the GLP-1 agonists, man, like I don't know if it's just because people know I'm a scientist or something, but people like it's so many people in my life and people that I would never have thought would ask about this stuff. They're like, what is this? How do I do this? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you anything. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the source for that, And so it's, I think this is going to be, I think it's a paradigm shift. I really do. I think that there's a huge paradigm shift that's happening right now. And if physicians and clinicians and hospitalists and healthcare providers aren't on the swing on this, like they're going to be on the outside, and they're going to be going, people are going to go to chiropractors and naturopaths and stuff instead for this stuff, because they're going to be willing to do it, and they're going to be less, um, Hippocratic, about it, right? They're going to be more dangerous with it. And I think that that's the harm, because that people are going to, there's going to be more harm that's going to be a part of it.
I
So
mean, but the liabilities are also there, right? Like, hey, like again, I'm not to be clear, I'm not like trying to push back against you,
yeah,
Dr.
yeah,
Greg. I'm
that's
just
fine.
like, thinking this out, like, you know, like, hey, like I'm imagining being dragged into court, right? As a hospital legal team, and they're presenting evidence that you're the doctor under you, they were providing medication that clearly was not needed, right? Like under your medical advice, these people they took this stuff, right? Like from the hospital's perspective, like of course I'm not going to be giving you medication that I don't think you need, right? Like, the clinician says that no, you don't need this, and so like should we be like handing out stuff like we've been told they don't need? Like, I don't know. Like, yes, people might go somewhere else to get it, but hey, guess what? I'm not gonna get sued if they go somewhere else, right?
And that does hold true, I think, for just about every other disease and condition, right?
I think I don't think anyone wants to be obese, man. I think that people are going to do it. I think we're going to have up like 60 to 70% of the U.S. population on some type of GLP-1 agonists coming up, and because the stage 3 trial for the oral dose just came out, and it's like 10% less, dude. It's like it is not like the 30% difference that it used to be. So it's like you don't even have to do the weekly shot now. I think it and you have secondary impacts that we didn't realize that were possible, like the dementia defense, the Alzheimer's defense. You have brain fog, people with COVID brain fog, or it's being lifted because of these things. You have insulin resistance, like type 2 diabetes. Like I actually, honestly, I don't know if we should even be doing price caps on insulin anymore. I don't even know if that even makes sense, dude, because you should honestly probably be treating it with like some GLP-1s in there too, because that's actually why these things were originally made for type 1 diabetics, to increase their insulin sensitivity. So, so it's like, it's going to completely change how we treat diabetes. I think that there's going to be less type 2 diabetics in the future because of it. People are going to eat less sweets. I think it's going to completely transform healthcare.
Well, until that perfectly engineered next generation sweetener that somehow bypasses whatever, it's going to be a competition between the food companies and the GLP-1 manufacturers.
Insulin caps affect people with no, it increases your insulin sensitivity. Tirzepatide does. GLP-1 agonist, the semaglutide, the first action, doesn't have the insulin sensitivity, but they're still developed for for diabetics. GLP-1 agonists are still in the same like cascade than with insulin. Anyway, but it's I don't know, man. I'm just scared. I'm just scared that people are going to be more disconnected with it.
It's a valid concern. Well, I'm hoping at least all our concerns are valid. I guess we're just coming from different perspectives.
Yeah, it sucks because I was thinking about it like legitimately, like if for my quality of life, my everyday life, like how I've lived, my lived experience, right? Like testosterone has like had a huge quality of life improvement for me, right? But like vaccines have, but I don't necessarily see that every day. I don't, if I wasn't a microbiologist, I am trusting the institution of science in order to give me information, right? I am trying, like, I don't know that viruses that are a big threat unless I'm an epidemiologist, a scientist, or, that have that background. So, they are kind of like trusting the academic establishment, the medical establishment, to take things like vaccines. So if we don't have that trust and we don't build the trust on easy wins that drastically improve quality of life, like TRT, like GLP-1s, then, I think it's going to be harder to sell vaccines and stuff in a weird way, because it also feels like people are just kind of like everyone's down to get poked now. All of a sudden everyone's down to have like a weekly shot, which I never would have thought that would have been something that would have happened. I thought that the poking would have been a big no for so many people, but they are willing to do it for for Botox, for GLP-1s. We're in the era of injectables.
That's a good point. Yeah, we are in an era of injectables. That's actually a really good point because, yeah, you're right. You would think otherwise. That like that would be a big thing, that like a big barrier to entry, but like it's not so much anymore, right? And people have like what they call them stacks, right? That they take of was
You know
it
the terminology.
peptides? Yeah, I watched a YouTube video. As always, that's where my knowledge comes from. But yeah, like yeah, people like their specific formulation of like a whole series of like chemicals they're injecting, right? So like a lot of them are like peptides, you know. That's like the big new trend here. And like yeah, like what is your specific mix of peptides that you are
Yeah,
taking? That's your stack.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I get. I
yeah,
mean, I get peptides and GLP-1s agonists like probably like once a stream. But I mean, obviously I'm on the internet, but I would say like once a week in my real life, someone comes up to me, like a neighbor, a friend, a family friend, like all these things. I'm like, wow, it is wild. It's like it's getting to like GameStop level, GME stock level, like diamond
yeah.
hands, like, where it's like in the culture, like everyone is talking about it. It is because they're seeing your friends and you're like, dude, wow, you look freaking awesome. And they're like, I feel incredible. I feel like I haven't looked in like this in 30 years. They're like, they're stoked, they see it. They literally see with their eyes. It's hard to say no to get, it's hard to just, to say no to that.
This feels like one of those trends that would only reverse if there's like a public example of things going horribly wrong. You know,
Mhm.
like um one of those situations where like, everyone's up to a thing, right? We got a fad happening. But then like someone takes the wrong mix or whatever, right? And they happen to be like a beautiful blonde white woman, and then they die. And then we have her picture up across the news media for like weeks at a time talking about this trend, and then you got very serious reporters finally going into these areas and discussing this thing, and then like the public gets educated, and then like they move away from doing this stuff. um I don't know, this feels like one of those types of situations. um
Mhm.
Not to say that like people, I don't know, like I want to be clear, like I'm a social libertarian, and that like I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want with their bodies, right?
Mhm.
So like I feel like if Dr. Greg wants to take control of his health in that way, right, he should be able to do that, right? I want to instead empower people with information to make proper choices, right? Or not rely on like fucking Reddit posts. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Reddit posts um, to make these types of decisions. Like I want people to have as much information, um, and then do whatever it is they like.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't think we're in that position. I think people are like going into these things like half blind, and making health decisions where we literally do not know the consequences, right? Like this also feels like one of those types of things where like decades down the line, we're like, oh yeah, that was a terrible idea. It was
You didn't
and
do
we have
that,
like
did you?
peptide
Fen.
syndrome,
Yeah.
and like there's a bunch of people who have it because of what happened like right now. Um, yeah, I don't know if that'll be the case, but um, like I I want people to go into this with as much caution as possible, and armed with as much good information, useful, actual information as we can give them. But yeah, I don't think that's the environment that we're in now.
Yeah. From chat, I'm postmenopausal and my insulin resistance is going up. So why do I have to wait till I'm 300 pounds? I get that too, man. I exactly. Especially like I've had multiple women in my life that went on HRT, and it was like completely life changing for them too. Perimenopausal, menopausal, like it's just, eh, there is like a stigma, trying to, for it, and
My
And
parents are talking about putting my grandma on a GLP-1 because she's like you'll say, oh, maybe she should get exercise, but like she's not very mobile. She can't has a lot of pain, like she has to use one of those mechanized chairs to go up the stairs because it's so difficult for her. And so like yeah, she can't really like do what it takes to drop that weight. And so yeah, they're thinking of putting her at GLP-1. So like again, I I don't know what message people are taking from my words, and that like I understand that like there could be so many benefits to all these different things, right? Like real benefits, like I get that. It's just that like I think people there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people are going to blind. Not people not exploring other alternatives. Most people aren't my grandma, right? Most people aren't my grandma. Yes, and like you have other options available to you.
yeah, I mean,
So
but some even
that are
still,
healthier and better consequences, maybe. Yeah.
even still though, man, I mean, my hot take on this is like, honestly, I think that we should explore it to stave off childhood obesity. Like we have a massive problem, with childhood obesity right now, and the worst thing that could
GLP-1s
happen.
for kids, though. For kids, that seems
I'm
rough for
curious.
me.
I'm curious if there would be a study about it. Just because the worst thing going into adulthood would
I
be
believe there's at least
obesity.
one study, if I remember correctly. Because I actually think Prime did a panel on it, not that like maybe a year or two ago. Or at least a panel that either like touched on that topic directly or like it was tangentially related. But all that to say is, I think there is a study on that.
I mean, the worst thing going into the thing to make sure that you are obese into late adulthood is going into adulthood as obese. You're more likely to stay obese, right? And it's the number one comorbidity in the world. So, I mean, whatever we can do in order to improve people's quality of life, I think we absolutely should.
I imagine you're being like hyperbolic or like the turn of phrase.
That's the
Whatever
number
we
one
can
thing
do.
for
As
the
in, like, I don't
number
know.
one.
Would you
For the
pardon
number
me?
one, for the number one comorbidity,
I'm
and
curious, like, would you go so far as like if GLP-1 agonists were not available, like gastric bypass surgery for children?
if they were morbidly obese, yeah, I would help. Yeah, I would look into them for sure, dude. Yeah, I mean, especially
Well,
gastric. There's lap bands and stuff that you can actually change the size and
yes,
stuff
but
over time
I
too.
don't know that those are as effective, generally speaking.
I would,
Yes, there are groups and stuff.
dude. I honestly feel like we have to. I think that we should like help them as much as we can. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing.
I think look, I think you definitely
I
have
would
the
be
systemic
ambivalent.
problem, right? The systemic problem, and this is also, I think it also ties into what like the Hegseth thing is talking about it too. Like we have like the male loneliness epidemic, and now these guys are just going on tea in order to feel better about themselves, right? It's kind of like there is a systemic problem here. We have to attack both, right? That we can't just like put everyone on medications and think that it's like you're painting over a dirty wall, right? You have to like actually like do the work. That I think that's the biggest point too. Why are kids obese? Why are we it's probably just because of the availability of food. We have really healthy, available, nutritious food, and people are taking in a lot of it, and it's hard to have that control, that self-control in a world that has so much readily available food. And processed foods make food more readily available. Processed foods aren't poison, like people say. It's the opposite of it. Actually, it's very nutritious and yummy, so much so that people will gorge themselves on it. And poison isn't something that you can gorge yourself on. So by definition, it's not poison. So it's like, so I think that, yeah, man, we live in this world where it's like the availability of food is so high. It's kind of unfair for these kids that are also like genetically predisposed in order to be obese in this world. So I feel like we have to do what we can.
Fair. I personally would be ambivalent about gastric bypass or like say widespread gastric, but like it is a cost benefit analysis. Maybe it would actually be beneficial. I'll leave that up to the clinicians.
Yeah, we'd have to see. I don't know. I think it's it's important. I mean, I think it's a paradigm shift. Like I said, I think it's very rare, very rare. It's crazy to see like multiple paradigm shifts in our lifetime. Um, I definitely feel like it was next generation sequencing. I definitely feel like it was CRISPR gene editing. I definitely feel like GLP-1 agonists were another one. And here we are, man. I
Well,
think
anybody that has history of being anti-vax should be denied gene therapy technology and these GLP-1 agonists.
yes,
Because, well,
base.
they're staunchly against gene therapy, right? So because they said the mRNA vaccine falsely was gene therapy. So and also it's like these at least especially these newer ones, these newer generation GLP-1 agonists, we have no long-term safety data, right?
True.
So they have to be
True.
unsafe.
They're,
Can't take them.
yeah,
Can't take them. You have to wait at least 10, 15 years.
yeah. What are they just making a new GLP-1 agonist every year now? What is this? That it took them 30 years to make the first GLP-1 agonist.
You're stuck on the Wegovies of the GLPs. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we ran super late. I love the conversation, though. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Did you guys want to have any parting thoughts or anything?
No, like I tend to agree with you. A paradigm shift, and like your concerns are valid, but maybe I'm just maybe more cynical. But like, yeah, I am concerned about creating a problem where there isn't one, or like at 2Prime's point, as I let's say get older and think about it more. Like, I'm not sure more information is always better. Like, I think arguably we live in the age of information, have been for like the past 10, 20 years. I don't see things getting better in terms of how people are processing information, incorporating it.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave on that point. Like, yeah, it's like information overload. And like people aren't, equipped to necessarily process all these things and, do useful work with the knowledge. And again, like this other thing we have to stress is that like that's assuming you're even getting like proper data, right? Whatever this data stream is that you're getting, it could be that cortisol test, right? We kind of have to assume that it in itself is a useful and working properly and all that, right?
True.
Like think about the testosterone test. Like this is just for a moment, right? I don't want to go the whole way back, but like this testosterone test that Corey was talking about from the company, right? Like combine the thought of like spitting into whatever a tube or whatever and getting a result with all the things that like our friend Dr. Greg was talking about, because he actually had to do the testosterone test, right? Like it happened to happen. It had to happen during a certain time of day before you ate, right? And then like other conditions have to be met. But like, is that what's going to be advertised, or is it going to be like spit in the tube or whatever the hell it is, right? Like do people like really understand that? And then like when they start getting numbers that are all over the place, like they might be accurate for like that moment in time, but like that in itself might not be useful information, right? Like if all the stars aren't aligned to give you a proper baseline or whatever, then maybe it's actually quite useless. So like I don't know, like this seems the situation we're putting people in, where we're telling them you have to be like a health consumer, right? Like what do consumers do? A good consumer, I guess, like like does their research, right? And like compares the alternatives and whatever. But when it's like it's your health, like, well, what is this extra data actually doing for you? And like what are you gonna do with it? Because the outcomes here matter, right? It's not like, hey, I chose the wrong TV, right? And I chose like a bad brand after I did my research, And the consequences are like, you seriously hurting yourself or dying, or even worse, hurting your children, right? Because you're acting on this on their behalf. So
exactly.
I don't know, man. Sorry, I can't end this one on a positive note.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Actually, I got a real quick before your outros. I got a good thing to end it on. guys, we officially we submitted the 501c3 application for Science and Freedom for Everyone, the foundation, the research institute that we did. So we put it in today. So pumped, so proud. Like, thank you, everyone, for all the volunteers and everyone that was a part of the board and everything. And yeah, we're looking saferi.org. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for someone to help run the social media for SAFE too, because I want it to be separate than it's just not like my Dr. Greg show stuff. You know what I mean? So, so if you're interested in volunteering, let us know. Saferi.org. And yeah, thanks guys. Thank you for being here and supporting. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to the audience for assisting making this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, credit to the audience, absolutely.
Find me at PrimeKai, PrimeCays at Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, places. You'll find me, whatever.
Kick.
Kick.
Substack.
Yes, Kick. So you'll find Corey Campbell at Substack. He doesn't ever advertise that, but you'll find him there.
And yes. So you can find me on twitch.tv, CoreyCam84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and yes, Substack, all at It's Corey Campbell. Yeah, as always, looking forward to next week. Great conversation today, as always.
Thanks, guys. As always, appreciate you. Have a good one.
Take care. Be well.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Awesome. Always love talking to those guys. That was fun. Prodigy. I was in Prodigy. That was my first internet. I was at my friend's house. He used to have Prodigy. He had an awesome. There was like a game. It was a game that you like traversed like descent or something. It was awful. It was so funny. What a world, man. Oh man. All right. Well, I'm gonna go to bed. I got stuff to do tomorrow morning. I gotta be to bed early, but I got my first audition I'm doing. So it is yeah. So it's cool. It's cool, guys. It's happening. I got an agency for commercial acting. So I'm gonna be trying to do stuff. It's crazy. It takes like a ton of auditions. People think up to 50 to land your first one. So I'm like, geez. I did a beard club thing earlier this week. So that was that. And then this is another one. Are you playing Thor? No. I played a dermatologist in one of the beard club commercials though. That was funny. So I'd never worn scrubs before. I was like, I have to really think about like what I want to do. I would never do like a naturopath thing, you know, like, but you know, beard club, I think I'm okay with that. I want to see the commercials too. I think, thank you, Annie. I want to see the beard club commercials too. I'm subscribed to them on Instagram. And I haven't seen any of them. So I'm not like, yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I haven't gotten anything. I don't want to see you on one of those medication commercials. Me either, Ghostbusters, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, legitimately, I think it's, I don't want to sell everything. I don't know. I wouldn't want to sell a product that I wouldn't want to use myself. But then again, I have a debate lined up on Modern Day Debates. So that's cool. That's happening. I'm actually kind of surprised about it. It's cool. Like, yeah, James was chill about it. So that was cool. So, yeah. And so that's coming up. I'll post all this stuff for for the calendar, like upcoming. Yeah, you know what's funny is that so I have Claude like kind of running my business CRM stuff, my customer relations management, and Claude emailed everyone, and then I had it monitoring if someone emailed me back, which was awesome, and it did that, and it found that someone did write me back, and then it wrote like a 5-paragraph like, this is what I want to debate, and gave him a bunch of bullet points and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, and then I found out about that because Modern Day Debates emailed me, and I was like, wait, why is Modern Day Debates emailing me? And then the guy quoted my Opus AI email to him, and I was like, wait, I did not send that. But he agreed to the debate and contacted Modern Day Debates before I figured it out. And I was like, whoa. I was like, dang, like it really is like having a manager. It really is, where it's like they're agreeing to things that I didn't know about, but it's on my schedule now, and now I'm doing it, you know? So I'm like, damn. So I've been really working on like just getting and tying so much of like everything together now. There's so many like, oh my gosh, so many accounts and Google accounts, and I have my like Dr. Greg show stuff. I have my commercial acting. I have the C3 and the C4 and my personal things. So it's like, yeah, I'm really bummed. I didn't hear back from the science job that I interviewed with on Monday. They said that it could take them a little bit in order to get back to me, like on the next round, because it's in person. So, I mean, it went so well. I can't imagine it not going well and getting the in-person interview. I'd be really sad. I went to a few calls back in the day. Only a gig landed was John Goodman's stand-in for a movie oh, wow. And it wasn't even special meeting him. We were neighbors and chatted at the grocery store every week. Oh, wow, that's funny. I don't know who I'm debating. It's another evolution. It's like Adam and Eve versus evolution thing. So, Noctis, I think that's a good point. That's a good point. No news is good news. Yeah, because if it was rejected, they would have just said it already. Claude is my manager too. Opus is so good. I've tried Codex. I actually tie Codex into Claude Code, and I put in that every single time you make a big judgment decision, you have to have Codex adversarial review it, and it's really helped. It goes back and forth. Like Opus goes back with Codex, goes back and forth, back and forth. It goes like, and it can use 5.6, so it's actually like a pretty good, like it's a good ChatGPT. I hate dealing with ChatGPT though. It is like it writes so long and bloviated, and just like all the answers are so like wordy, and it says like the same thing like 3 or 4 times. I cannot stand the way it speaks. So yeah, HR can be slow. I've applied to over 50. So I applied to 30 different agencies, and then I applied to 20 different science jobs in the last 2 weeks. So it's been like a huge blitz for me, like trying to get everything in. So it's yeah. If you've seen Silicon Valley, you're talking about speaking to one another reminds you. Okay, yeah. AI. I too have applied to a few positions later and only have to chase a week later. Yeah. It's places shut down so quickly now. They just yeah. But you know what's crazy is that these acting jobs are like so competitive apparently because of the time. Like they gave it to me today at like 9 o'clock, and then they want like the deadline is Sunday at noon. So I gotta do it, like I have to do the I have to do the commercial acting audition like tomorrow morning. So it's like super fast. The turnaround just super fast. So that's the thing. But now because I have these, I have a softbox. I actually wanted to. I don't know if I have it. I have a huge gray screen behind me now. Yeah, I just have to. It's just a numbers game. But this one pays so well. It's in Salt Lake City for 3 days, which kind of sucks. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the kids. I have no idea what's going to happen. It's a 3-day shoot. It's $500 a day plus another $500 plus $1,000. So it would be like a good amount of money. So I need to like figure out what it would be. But I just like say yes on it and then we'll just figure it out if I get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's tough. It's just background too. It's just a background, like no speaking lines things and like paying super well. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm non-union, so that is like its own thing. It's hard to get into the SAG union. It's really tough. Yeah, right. I love that though. We need a nanny. We need a nanny. I don't know if my wife would approve, but hey, you know what? I'm okay with it. I know, Titan. That's what I was saying too. I was like, it's a drug. It is for a medication. It is for like some type of medications. I don't know what it is. Camp and neighbors. Yeah, if my dad could fill in, that'd be amazing. So yeah, we're just gonna figure it out while we go. I'm gonna hit this as hard as I can. All of these auditions and stuff, I'm just gonna hit them as hard as I can, as many as I can. And well, what's kind of cool is that I could do them kind of like, even if I had a 9 to 5, I could do them in the morning and after work. Since I have this all set up already, it's actually kind of sick. I can just like throw an audition in and then boom. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And then just kind of like cherry and fish for like some nice commercial stuff. Yeah, exactly. Till the science job comes up. Ness, how's it going? Hi. We were just talking. I accepted a commercial acting agency, and they already got me a audition. So it's gonna take like 50 auditions in order to land something, but it's kind of cool. So, wow. Wait, it's hard to get into SAG now. Used to be you just paid the one-time fee. Yeah, you have to have 3 speaking lines on something that's official. So yeah, it is, and then you pay like $3,000 or something, a one-time fee in order to get it inducted into the union. Would your commercial suffice? If I'm not speaking, I don't know. I don't know if I was speaking, I don't know if it would or not. I don't know. Maybe. That'd be great if I could get a speaking line. That's kind of like what you do, is that like you're like a prestigious kind of like background actor, you know, and then if the director likes you, you can kind of like have like some like quip or something in there, and then it counts as one of your SAG cards. So that's like that's the game. But really, apparently, it's just all about getting all these auditions done as much as you can. It's literally background husband talking to his wife about a vacation. So that's it. So I'm gonna have Kristen come, and we're gonna do like, I was like, she's gonna come home at like 7 o'clock in the morning, no sleep, and I'm gonna be like, we have to do this audition right now. So I already told her that I need to do it before she goes to bed. Oh, let's go.
Sarah.
Dude, Bare Necessity is such a beast, guys. She's amazing. She's like speaking in front of the Capitol about all this stuff. Like, dude, Bare Necessity is seriously an incredible activist. Very, very awesome to have on our team. I haven't heard anything. I did had a really good interview on Monday. They said that it could take a little bit just because it's the in-person interview that they have to kind of coordinate, so that there could be some lag time on it. So I you know, of course I'm hoping that it's like they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we would ever have expected that you would not take we want you in right now," you know. So, you know, that's not happening right now. So yeah, it's just waiting. So, and every second feels like an hour for me, but they're just kind of like busy doing their work, you know what I mean? So can't really be mad about it. I'm sorry. It is, dude, it's so I've gotten to a couple I've had a couple really good interviews. I've had like 6 interviews now. And some of them went like super far, and I got no's. So if I got a no at this point, it wouldn't be that unheard of, but I would be very sad. I'd be very sad. It's hard not to take it personally, but I just need to keep going. It's a numbers game, you know? But honestly, like, it's been so fun doing safe and getting everything going there. It feels like we're finally like hitting our stride and starting to run. So I'm like so excited. Yeah, yeah, Ness. I'm getting interviews. I'm getting some interviews, so that's good. And I asked Opus, like, how rare is it to get you know, an agency in 1 out of 30? And they were saying it's like a pretty it's a pretty good thing, you know? Like, it's not I don't have any actual acting experience, and it's a agency that has all the credentials, and they have 4.9 stars, and they've been around for 27 years. So it's pretty legit. So I'm pretty stoked on it. The fact that they're already getting, like, within 24 hours, they're already getting me like an audition is pretty sweet. It just feels cool, like, there's a team in the world out there that wants to get me in like a job, you know, doing acting. You know what I mean? I think that feels cool. That feels cool. You know, he had 2 assistants with him during the interview, and they're like taking notes and stuff. And I'm like, dang, that's freaking rad. Thank you, Helen. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I hope it's the look that they're looking for. You know, but I told them I was like available for any type of acting, you know, like TV, movies, commercial, hosting, whatever. And their commercial is the only thing I got into. Their theatrical was booked, so they don't have any space in the theatrical. But I mean, I look at the other, you know, the spammy, you know, fake talent agencies that I got before. It's such a difference, man. You can just tell. You can just tell when like one of them is a scam and one of them's not. You know, just so apparent. So test. Trump's planning to tariff Canada because of them, so he gets smoked. Yeah. Thank you, F1. It's very kind. That's funny you say Dr. Phil. That's funny because that's like I have to put on everything Dr. Greg as my stage name. So that is funny. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm following, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and me are like following the same footsteps. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was a big deal in bodybuilding, and then he went into acting and movie stars. And I was a successful scientist, and then now I'm going to go into acting and modeling. So I'm following the Arnold Schwarzenegger model. Yeah, Michelle, exactly. What's up, IP man? I still like, I was talking to, it's so funny. The number one way that people use AI is therapy. And I was like definitely bouncing ideas off of. I was like, yay, see you, Noctis, have a good one. I was like, how do I square this? Like doing these beard club commercials and stuff like that. I'm like, this isn't very fulfilling, I mean, it is, it's just, it pays really well. It's like $75 an hour for 2 hours a day. It's like, it's not nothing. And, oh, I crashed my long GPT thread. They can't help. Oh man. Yeah, you have to have it save. But yeah, anyway. I forgot what I was what else was I gonna say? Tell it to save it, to export itself into save, skills.md. Skills.md. So skills.md is basically kind of like a archive of like how it did the thing that it did. And you basically just get, you say just export everything that you know into skills.md, so then you can remember it for, reproduce the same thing over and over and over again. Because otherwise it just basically gets chewed away at the context window. The context window like kind of resets, and then so does the memory. And you're like, what happened? Why don't you remember anything that I just told you? It's because the context window was wiped and you didn't do a good job of actually memorizing the information. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go to bed. I got an audition in the morning, and then I'm going to send that in. And yeah, so I just got some stuff I need to do. So thanks for chatting. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, dude. F-on for the super chat. Thank you so much. W Prime and Corey, appreciate it as always. Exactly. So good. All right, guys. I'm gonna pass out. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow night. Go be kind to someone. All right. Bye.